What is up, good people? What is up, good people? Mic check 1 2. Make sure everything is a-okay. Making sure everything is a-okay. Shout out to everybody in the building today. Shout out to everybody in the building today. Make sure you hit the like button, whether you're catching this live or you're catching it after it's. Make sure you hit the like button. And I'm hearing some background from somewhere. Let me mute that, get that out the way so I don't hear it. But shout out to everybody in the building. We are back. The Tuesday election just happened. It just happened. And wasn't exactly a red wave. So we'll get into that. I'll give my take on why it wasn't exactly a red wave. But it hit in some places, but we'll get into that. We'll break that down. So come on in, strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Where we at? Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab it. Get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What is up? What is going on, good people? Glad y'all could be in the building. Y'all are witnessing me right now putting too much of this sugar-free sugar-free creamer into my coffee. This allegedly sugar-free creamer in my coffee. Y'all just caught me doing that. I was trying to have that all done before we even got things started. But y'all are in here. Y'all are in the building. I like to see that. Make sure you hit the like button whether you're catching this thing live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. I'm over here low-key trying to get y'all into the sunken place too as well. Sorry for that coffee slurp. It's a few black men that's some would say making it out of the sunken place. I just saw a clip this morning of Jay Williams. He's going off about those demands that Kyrie had to meet. He's going off about those demands that Kyrie had to meet. I thought that was pretty damn ridiculous. All those demands that Kyrie had to meet. And I'm glad people are just stepping up saying that's a little obsessive. I mean, the man said something. People say stuff all the time. When he mentioned Don Imus in that video, talking about Jay Williams, a former basketball player, played for Duke, got drafted number 2 overall by the Chicago Bulls. I think he got into a bad car accident that messed up his career or something. I forgot exactly what happened. It was a bad injury to where his career was pretty much a wrap. Probably would have been a great point guard. Never know. But anyway, he went off. He mentioned Don Imus, and he's saying Don Imus didn't have to do all that. And yes, he didn't have to go and meet the Congressional Black Caucus, the black delegation, and demonstrate an understanding or nothing that, but he did get perp walked through social media. So black people, we do have our way of making people get perp walked and having to apologize. The Jews just do it in a structured way. They're more structured with making people kiss the ring. They do it the right way. They do it full Game of Thrones style with the threat of being beheaded. We just we just got the threat of just waving our finger at people. That's about as much of a threat we got. But everybody in the building, shout out to each and every one of you. Hit the like, come on in, hit the like button. Come on in, hit the like button. Shout out to Osmosis. He says they win, Black Girl Magic, they lose. Black men fought, LOL, which means that Black Girl Magic that they would have been claiming with the victory could not happen unless it was some black male non-magic physical tangible thing that we did in reality to make this magic happen. I don't know, but there's that. RM in the building, LB Crypto in the building says let's go. That's how I imagine you saying that. Shout out to RM, says hit the like button on your way in the building. TD Hutch in the building says, but it was white women that voted for Kemp. Black men voted for Stacey at 84%. Still our fault. Still our fault. Hey, email me those demographical results. Email them to me. Because when I was watching all of this late last night, all of that data wasn't exactly in yet. So I just accepted the fact that once I got everything set, had to get up this morning. One of my sons was sick, and we had to, not even that big of a deal, but I wanted to start the show earlier. But all of my show prep finding data like that got killed. All of that got killed. So definitely send me that information. Email it to me so I can have that as a guide as well. But shout out to the Space Kitchen podcast in the building. Says, woo, she lost. Is it lost or lost? You got me lost on that one. I thought it was lost with 2 S's and no T. Lost is if she can't find her way back home. Loss meaning is if she was competing for something and she didn't win. I used to be confused about that, and I thought I had it figured out. Now you got me back confused on it. You got me back confused about that. So yeah. Yeah, don't get me back confused on that. It took me like 30 years to learn that. Shout out to Bowdy Thug. Shout out to RM once again. Shout out to Groove Master. Says sub count is going up. I see you, BR. Keep bringing that fire content. Absolutely, absolutely. Those shorts work. I be telling content creators, you got to get on those shorts. Got to make those YouTube shorts. They put those in the algorithm tough if you do it right. But shout out to everybody in the building. Excalibur, we making our way in. Hood Conservative in the building. He says, do black people really have our own power, or do those people give us power because it serves their interests? That's a good point. That's a damn good point. Let me think about that one. We don't exactly have our own. Okay, this is how I'm going to define power in this situation. Power is how they have the ability to mess up Kanye's money. They technically got the ability to mess up Kyrie's money. Why? Because they got their hands in everybody's money, and they could, their stronghold that they have in that, they could pull it back, and now everybody's money is messed up. That's where the power comes. Now there is some power. There is some power in the mere fact that if you can leverage the fact that this person will look bad to everybody else, people that support them, people that fund them. For example, if the CEO of a company, says something racist, the group of people he says something racist about does not have power per se. However, if the people that buy products from this company that this person is a CEO of, if they're bleeding heart liberals, and then the people that was offended, in this case, let's just say black people, sound the alarm and make a big stink about it, and then everybody get up in arms. Like we're at that boycott. It's not really power, but we're at that boycott and inspire other people to boycott stage of the game. Not the we're at the top and we can do Game of Thrones beheadings. We can't do Game of Thrones public beheadings, but that's how black people flex power. They will make, if Don Imus wants to get another job, he got to go through the perp walk and say, okay, I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. Damn it. That's where we're at, and that's what we do. That's where we're at, and that's what we do. Somebody is saying that is power. Okay, perhaps. Perhaps. So perhaps that is, or perhaps it isn't. But it's really a tough one to say. It's really a tough one to call. It's not ideal power. I'll definitely say that. It's not ideal. But it's the power of the riot. Like some Tupac lyrics. We may fight amongst each other, but I promise you this, we'll burn this bitch down, get us pissed. That was that was basically saying, you don't piss us off, we'll burn all this shit to the ground. There's power in people not wanting shit burned to the ground. That ain't the power you want to have, though. That ain't the power you want to have. But let's go ahead and get into it. It was not a red wave, and I have my theories on that. I have my theories and my predictions on that. I'm gonna put the link in the chat relatively early on this one because, like I said, my pre-show preparation got killed, so I don't got half of what I wanted to have ready to go because somebody just hit me with some demographic results of how 84% of black men voted for Stacey Abrams and the percentage of white women that voted for Kemp, how that tipped the scale more than black men voting for Kemp or not voting at all. I wanted to have all that ready, but like I said, I had to take one of my sons to Med Express, killed all my early pre-show preparation. So the link will get in the chat early. So I will give y'all a couple of my theories. I got some, I do want to talk about Stacey Abrams, basically talking about black men being misinformed, and Brittany Cooper in a pool pit talking about how black men are misinformed. And this was like shortly, like right before the election. Like this was November 7th. It was Stacey Abrams saying that, which tells me she already knew she was about to lose. Which means she already knew she was about to lose, and she was preemptively blaming black men. So we got to get into that. In fact, you know what? We're gonna roll right into that one right now. She was preemptively blaming black men. Oh, the thumbnail from yesterday shouldn't be up. Let me get that out the way. We're about to look at these shots fired by her and Brittany Cooper. Let me move that. Guess I can put that right there. Got something right there. We're about to get into these shots fired as we roll right into it. Timothy, he said it's my fault. Yeah, it's my fault. It's my fault. I accept full responsibility. It says, dudes talk about changing custody laws, but how do you do that without being touched by the R word? The R word. There's a lot of R words. I don't know which one you're talking about. Let's go.
Kemp continues to hold a lead, earning 50% of voters' support over Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams, 45%, according to a recent Insider Advantage Fox 5 Atlanta poll. During an appearance on MSNBC this Sunday, Abrams blamed her flailing poll numbers on misinformation, specifically targeting black men. Let's watch. Flailing poll numbers on misinformation, specifically targeting black men. Let's watch.
I do not believe it's because of a deep well of enthusiasm for my opponent. We know that black voters are often discounted, and unfortunately this year black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation, not misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. And my campaign has been the only one that has very intentionally, thoughtfully, and consistently reached out. That has been misconstrued as concern when indeed it's just respect.
Notice you hear no saying, no mention of what are they supposedly misinformed about. This is the day before the election. Like, whenever somebody is talking like this before the election, and they're not talking, especially when you're trying to take down the seating governor. If you the day before the election, you supposed to be inspirational. You supposed to be real hopey, changey, Barack Obama-y and all. You supposed to be on that shit. That's what you're supposed to be on the day before the election. She's on this. That tells me that she knew it was a wrap. She knew it was. She looked at the numbers and knew she ain't have them. She looked at the numbers and she knew she didn't have them. Now, I will say, in her concession speech, it was, maybe I didn't listen to all of it, but for the parts of her concession speech that I heard, she was classy in the concession speech, absolute class, no problems there, because she had accepted her fate by then. But right now, she was sort of kicking and screaming. Okay, she was pissed about what she knew was about to happen. And that's one thing that I do want to point out, that she lost. It was, wow, what was it? See, this is why I was mad. And my show preparation was all messed up because I had to take my son to Med Express. And he's okay, if y'all was wondering. He's fine. I think he was just trying to get out of school. But I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, he had a little congestion, something going on. Yeah. But anyway, he won by, it was by like 8 or 9 percentage points. It was like 54 to 46, something like that. 55-46. It was a landslide. Long story short, it was a landslide victory that black men couldn't make up if we wanted to. Let's just make that very clear. She got her ass kicked by a margin that you can't even blame black men for that. If she would have lost, if it would have been 51-49, then she could have said, if you niggas would have got your booty to the pole, like the damn stripper video told you to do, get your booty to the pole. Then she could make a case. She could legitimately make a case in that, if that was the case. But it was such a landslide victory that no, you can't. You can't turn around and blame that on black men. But she's speaking like a person who knew she was about to lose. Now, shout out to Code Black. Shout out to Code Black in the building. Says no voting, no fucking. We need more of that. That's where we hit it, bro. Politicians going to start being real transparent. There's going to be some transparency among politicians, guarantee. You know how I say they need to stop announcing that so-and-so is the 7th black NFL football coach to compete in the Super Bowl. In a little bit, they're going to be like, so-and-so is the 17th openly trans person running for governor. It's going to be like that in a little bit. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the support. But damn, you threw me off. You tickled me with that one. You definitely tickled me with that one. Christian Hutchison in the building. And like always, I don't know if we got anything cute written up that I could put on the screen for y'all, but October 21st, we will be getting together again, having the monthly gathering. Hashtag don't call it a meetup. Just saying, shout out to little Big Nate. I fuck around and call it a meetup. Lightning gonna strike. I'm gonna see little Big Nate's shadow on my wall at night. Don't call it a meetup. shout out to little Big Nate. I will be at the event coming in Charlotte next year. I will be there. Shout out to Little Big Nate. But no, on the 21st, we will be getting together in Detroit. I'll be posting the details about that later on today. This is not a formal, official meetup. This is just like a little get-together gathering, meet up at the barcade, watch some Monday Night Football and chop it up, kick it, network, just basic shit. Nothing too major. But Christian Hutchinson in the building says Westmore won governor in Maryland. Yeah. I did see that on some Instagram pages. He's a black Democrat, so I think they're going to talk about it more, they'll promote that in certain places. But let me just read what you're saying. You're saying no one was paying attention to that race. Military, college educated, married, kids. Funny how it works. See, here's the thing. In the 2020 election, John James had the similar background. He was a black man, but he was a Republican running against Democrat Gary Peters. Was it Peterson or Peters? I think Gary Peters. And people kind of talked about that a little bit more because it was a racial element to it, in that the black man was a Democrat and the black man was a Republican in that case. I did notice that Westmore won, but you're right in that there's no controversy circulating around that one. There was no controversy circulating around that one. So you're absolutely right. I did notice on some of the the Instagram and social media platforms, John James, he did win something. He wearing for how do I not know this? See, that's why I tell y'all my show preparation today got killed because I had to do so much stuff this morning. But he did run for House. I'm not even going to repeat it because I'm gonna botch it. But he did. John James is still in the game. He just opted not to try to run for Senate. He ran for something else and won. But all right, let's get into it. 91 on the likes, that's horrible. 248, 250 in the building, 91 on the likes, that's horrible. Let's at least hit 125 on the likes. But let's get into a little bit more of this. She said black men are
about what they want,
full of misinformation.
Are often discounted. And unfortunately, this year, black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation.
Am I the one giving all this misinformation?
Misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. And my campaign has been the only one that has very intentionally, thoughtfully, and consistently reached out. That has been misconstrued as concern.
No, you talked before some black men, and you was talking about abortion and stuff like that. Basically talking about your same old rainbow coalition, black and brown people, everybody, full collective, we're going to do all of this for black men, but it's really just the stuff that you're going to do for everybody. You're basically saying, I invite you to get in line to try to get the free stuff I'm going to offer. That's basically what your appeal was. And so there's that.
When it indeed is just respect.
Abrams' claims were backed by Biden advisor and former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Let's watch.
There is definitely a target toward African-American men, not just to give them misinformation, but to make them so discouraged that they won't show up to vote. And again, I
asked the question again, who are these people giving the misinformation? Because I want to go ahead and say, I want them to just go ahead and do like a homegirl that got fired did when she was like, it's these Kevin Samuels fans. I was like, yeah. It's these Kevin Samuels fans and these people quoting Tariq Nasheed. I just want them to look in the camera and say, it's the fucking manosphere. I just want them to say it. Say it. That's what I want them to hear. ABL, Tatum. I don't even know who Jericho Green is. Candace Owens. Name names. Name names. And then debunk what they're saying. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to hear them do that.
A candidate before. I've been in this position before. Going into my race as mayor 5 years ago, I was 7 points down in the polls going into the week of the election, and I won by more than 800 votes because people showed up to vote.
Joining us now to weigh in, our host of Straight Shot.
She's basically saying you could be down on the polls, but you can still win if them niggas, if Cousin Pookie get off the couch and just show up and vote. Shout out to Barack Obama. I gotta at least make a short on this with the clip playing of him, employing the Cousin Pookie, voting strategy. I didn't play the clip last time when I did that, but yeah, Barack did that. He said, make sure you drag Cousin Pookie to the polls. He literally said that. So yeah, I gotta make sure I squeeze some content in on that, some more content in on that before the day is over. But shout out to Barack Hussein Obama, looking, as I said before on the stream, I said when he gets older, he look less Barack and more Hussein. I can't explain why. It's that all that Hussein, it just comes out when he's getting older. He's like, he just looking real, don't ever grow a beard, Barack. Just do not grow a beard. History will remember you as the first Arab Muslim president or some shit. Just don't grow a beard as you get older. Just don't. You pull up a young picture of Barack, he looks like the first black president. Them older pictures, he looking real Allah Akbar. Okay, never mind. All right. He's not. He's the the presidency aged him so bad he started looking a whole different race. he started looking less black and more Arab once he got older. I can't explain that. I'd love to hear some evidence of that he listened to Tommy Sotomayor. But all right. All right, let's go. All right, let me play a little bit more of this. I said I was going to open it up early, but the show kind of rolling. But I do want to get y'all in on this.
No Chaser podcast, Teslin Figaro, and host of A Fresh Perspective, Jeff Charles. Welcome to you both. All right, I'll start with you, Jeff. What do you think they're talking about when they specifically cite the idea that Black men are susceptible to misinformation that discourages them from coming to the polls?
Well, see, but that's the entire problem, though. None of these people actually give examples of the misinformation that is supposedly discouraging Black men, that is supposedly fooling us into thinking that maybe the Democratic Party isn't perfect. So to me,
they found one with testicles. My man. All right, let's see what he got.
That's the issue. I mean, really what they don't understand is that talking points like that are part of the reason why more Black men are becoming disillusioned with the left and with the Democratic Party, and they're becoming more open to seeking out other options, or they'll just say a pox on both your houses and stay home. But really, this is just making excuses for why they are losing with minority voters.
Yeah, Teslin, it feels like misinformation as a term is becoming this sort of catch-all that doesn't really mean anything and is used very, very poorly by people who want to, I don't even know what she's trying to say here. Like, it's not hypnotism. It's not mind control. What does she think is happening to Black voters to sap their enthusiasm for her candidacy? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm here to help you.
Okay, she came in with an attitude, seemingly. I think he need to cut that. I don't mean to be just okay, I don't know white boy hair politics, but it just seemed like if you got to comb your bang backwards and spray something on it to make it stay right there the whole day, you're doing too much. Just go on and cut that off. Just go on and cut that off. I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules with white guys in their hair, but it looked like he got a bang that he combed backwards and sprayed something on it, and now it's gonna hold. It's gonna hold like that all day. He walking around smelling like spritz or mousse or some shit. Like, nah, cut that off, dude. Cut that off.
Sap their enthusiasm for her candidacy. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm here to help you get it. Number one, over 40 million people have already voted. Georgia has had record turnout. They would have you believe that no black men at all.
Hey, I gotta stay out the chat. He said he not that bad. He got his bang-yang combed backwards. Oh shit. Not that bang-yang. That bang-yang. Oh. He got his bang-yang combed backwards and put some spritz on that shit. Okay, stay like that all day. Oh man. All right. I gotta stay out the chat.
Georgia has had record turnout. They would have you believe that no black men at all have voted, and that's just simply not true. So rather than saying, I blame you, how about they say, I will do better? Blaming black voters or blaming black men is no different than blaming the person that got cheated on in the relationship. Perhaps if you just cooked more, I wouldn't have cheated. At the end of the day,
oh man. Where did they find these black people? They up here spitting. Whoa. I'm gonna make sure I heard that right.
people have already voted. Georgia has
Sap their enthusiasm for her candidacy. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm here to help you get it. Number one, over 40 million people have already voted. Georgia has had record turnout. They would have you believe that no black men at all have voted, and that's just simply not true. So rather than saying, I blame you, how about they say, I will do better? Blaming black voters or blaming black men is no different than blaming the person that got cheated on in the relationship. Perhaps if you just cooked more, I wouldn't have cheated.
Blaming black men for not voting for Stacey Abrams or not supporting Stacey Abrams is like blaming the person who got cheated on. Ain't that so? Ain't that damn near what we've been saying? that we own some. It's time to leave. We ain't about to stay here and put up with this shit. But you're gonna blame the person. Blame the person that left. Yeah, she's spitting.
At the end of the day, it is about who is trying to engage these voters. And if they failed, and I want to give you this example, just bear with me quickly. David Axelrod, a white man, a top Democrat, Obama's go-to person, said the other day very clearly that Democrats have failed in their economic message. Nobody is saying that he's spreading misinformation. He said that they are not reaching out the way that they should. Hillary Rosen also said the same thing, which is a top Democrat strategist. No one is telling them, oh, well, you're just spreading misinformation or you don't know what you're doing. And I have to say this to progressives as well. They also do this racist trope, and they call it misinformed voters, low education, low information voters when they don't get their way. It is basically a racist trope that says that black men are lazy, that they're not involved, and it is flat out a lie. And let's talk about targeting voters. Stacey Abrams said they're being targeted for misinformation. Well, guess who's being targeted for actual engagement? The Hispanic community by the GOP has strategically been targeted with over 30 plus diversity centers, with over 20 plus strategically in Latino communities, brick and mortar, that says, hey, come on in. We want to tell you about the Republican Party. And so the response to that from Democrats was, hey, well, we're doing advertisement. So rather than blaming black men, why don't you ask the Democrat Party, why is it that they have not engaged black men or black women, because we do vote together, by the way, and talk about an economic policy that we would adhere to? And so it's a lie. It is a racist trope. It is something that is designed to blame and beat black men with a public scalding when they don't get their damn way. And it has to stop. And I also blame these black pundits who are running with this as well. Misinformation is very strategic. They're not confused. Black men, I just went to a reparations rally on Saturday. Thousands of people showed up, more so black men. And they showed up with less than a 2-week notice, with no rapper as a headline, with no political party that pushed it, with no
Funny you say that, because Stacey Abrams was just I forget. Okay, never mind. I can't remember the half naked female rapper / stripper she was on stage with. I call them all that. They all rappers / strippers there. You know, it's like the video vixen from the 90s. If only she would have thought, maybe I should find somebody to write some lyrics for me so I could rap too. I don't got to just be clapping butt cheeks. I can rap and be out in front and make even more money. But anyway, that's who Stacey Abrams was on stage with one of them. I don't know who it was. It wasn't Meg Thee Stallion. It was, I can't think.
Political official that pushed it with less than 2 weeks, Bree. I've seen political elected officials that can't get 50 people in the room at best. So Black men are engaged, but they may not be engaged and they may not be feeling you. The first thing is actually dating somebody, then engaging, and then asking them to get married. Black men are engaged. They just ain't feeling you. So what do you have to do? Come back to the table and say, how can I bring you on? But also don't discredit Black men who vote Democrat. But also understand, guess what? Black men are also conservative. And that's just something they're going to have to deal with.
Well, according to
I don't know who these. I gotta learn these people's name. I never heard of either one of them. Never heard of them. But they yeah, they doing the damn thing. In this show called this don't seem like a show that typically has people on like this. It just don't.
New Hill report.
Like I was getting some lightweight Fox Soul vibes or something. I thought it was gonna be that kind of thing.
Black voters are worried about being blamed for potential Democratic losses in today's midterms. They are begging Democrats not to fall into what they see as a longstanding pattern. Black voters get blamed after Democratic disappointments and ignored after Democratic wins. I mean, we talked about this a little bit, how there were some folks who worked really hard in 2020 to win Georgia for Democrats who said, look, once they turned around and didn't actually come through with the $2,000 checks and some of the other promises that the Biden campaign had made, the organizers weren't sure they were going to be able to turn folks out again. You know, is this what we're seeing right now in this moment, Jeff? And do you think there are certain pitches that were left on the table that could have actually resulted in higher turnout across the board?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even over the past year and a half or so, if you go on Black Twitter, or if you're in other spaces, you see Black men complaining about the Biden administration, Democrats in general. Why? Because they made all these soaring promises to get elected. And then now that they're in office, they're doing for every other group except for Black people. And now they want to blame it on misinformation. I get why Black voters might be concerned about being blamed, because that's what happens when Democrats lose, when Black people don't show up. It's like Tesman said, the blame doesn't go towards the Democratic Party, it goes towards the voting base. The thing is, you can't say it's
the voting base that they depend on the most loyal voting base. Like that, like let that sink in for a minute. And I used to have the demographics, the numbers on that ready to go. I don't think I got it right now. No, I don't got that ready to go right now. But it's insane when you look at how divided other groups are when it comes to voting Republican versus Democrat. It's damn near down the middle with everybody else, but for us it's 90-10. I'm talking about Black men and Black women combined together. Black men are getting closer to that 80, if not already there, when it comes to being not voting Democrat. It's starting to look 80-20 for Black men. It's still upwards of 90, and some change left over for Black women. But overall, let's just say it's about at 90. It's about at 90. That's where Black people legit are at. Everybody else is practically 50-50 down the middle. Half of them will go right, half of them will go left. You're blaming you can never blame the people, even if Black men are voting at a 80%, 84% rate. Like somebody just said in the chat, 84% of Black men voted for Stacey Abrams, even if it's at an 84% rate. You cannot blame that 84%, because other than Black women, no other group demographic is giving you 84%. Like, what kind of insulting shit is that, to try to say that the people who you count on the most is their fault? It's like, nah, no, like that's ridiculous. That is beyond ridiculous to me. But shout out to everybody in the building. 450 people in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. I have no idea where the likes at, but about 450 people in here. We should have bare minimum 200 and some change on the likes. So go ahead and get the likes up. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know how we do. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream, all of that good stuff. But I do want to get into one more thing. before we really go ahead and step right on into it. I do want to get into this. Now, this is Brittany Cooper, who, until I saw a picture of her and Stacey Abrams standing next to each other, I thought they were the same person. I honestly thought they were the same person for a long time. Sort of like how everybody thought that Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson was the same person until they stood side by side at the VMAs or something. There, it was, you know, it was an epic moment. It was like, okay, we got them in the same shot. We good. We know they're not the same person. But I thought Stacey Abrams and Brittany Cooper was the same person for a very long time. I'm trying to double check to see if I got Cash Apps on deck. I do like to shout out everybody who supports the stream, trying to see if somebody came through on the Cash App end, and that is a negative, but we do got another super chat in the building. I'll read this real quick before I get into Brittany Cooper saying the same thing. So even though Brittany Cooper and Stacey Abrams are not the same person, they clearly share the same notes. They get together and talk. But anyway, Orange Peel Nurse, even if Stacey got the black man that voted for Kemp, she still would have lost, LOL. The problem was those white suburban women went with Kemp. Nevertheless, the red wave never came in the midterms. That is true. I'm going to talk about why the red wave did not come, like at least not in the way that we thought it would. I'm going to get into that, but that is true. Kemp beat her by a margin that black men couldn't have made up. So now what you have to address is those men who are voting Republican. All right. There are men who are voting Republican, and guess what? Their previously formerly known as liberal white women wives are voting Republican with them. That's who you're losing out on. And they try to do that a lot. They not only do they try to shame black men, they do try to, a lot of the black liberal feminist types, they try to shame black women. I mean, no, they try to shame white women for, voting for Trump, like, because there's a lot of white women voted for Trump. A lot of white women be helping hand out L's to white women and black women because they vote with their husbands, so there's that. There's another way to go about it. Instead of being single and strong and independent and voting to get every benefit you can for single black women and children, you could, be in a family and try to, vote for things that benefit families and then go that route. But that would make too much sense. And you may, wake up one day and find yourself voting Republican, and you might feel a real uncomfortable about that. But either way, let's you better not blame Karen. It's not, see, they expose that they look at white women as all the same when they do that. There is the purple hair feminist types. I don't think that they're voting Republican. They're definitely voting Democrat. Then there's the more conservative married white woman who, don't get it twisted, there are certain areas, there are certain places she won't go. Like I think and this I'm just going to get into when I explain why the red wave didn't happen, because I know in Michigan we had two white women on the ballot. Tudor Dixon, she was supported by Trump. She had the MAGA support. She lost to Gretch. That's what we call it. She lost to Gretch, and it was sort of not quite as big of a gap as Kemp and Stacey Abrams, but she lost. And I think because one of the things that was on the ballot, abortion was basically on the ballot. About how much, I hate the way they word stuff. They gave it like 5 paragraphs that was unnecessary. It was really for abortion or against abortion. End of. That's how I interpreted it. But a lot of people in Michigan was, I do think there's a lot of people who are more pro-choice than what they let on. I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think just like the whole wokeness of the left is a problem that people run away from, I think the equal opposite of that is the over-the-top Trumpian conservative. That's also a problem. And so the people in the middle, the people that's going to vote Republican, about 33%. The people that's going to vote Democrat, they're going to vote Democrat, about another 33%. Those people in the middle are the people that be deciding, do I want to be with the weird wacky wokies, or do I want to be with the MAGA hat wearing, seemingly racist? And either side could win that fight for somebody in the middle. Either one of those sides could win that fight for somebody in the middle. So that person in the middle, coupled with that they view both sides as crazy, mixed with the fact that abortion was on there, and I've always suspected like people are more pro-life than what they think. I mean, more pro-choice than what they claim. I think a lot of people looked at that, read all that language, and they basically voted for Michigan to be more pro-choice than pro-life. That's basically what they voted for. I think that's why Tudor Dixon lost to Gretsch, and that's part of the reason why I think the red wave didn't happen like people think. That's just my theory on that. Not claiming facts on that one. That's my theory.
That there are those in our community beset by the kinds of spirits that seek to destroy us. We need to think robustly, just for instance, about the demon of disinformation that permeates our communities and that renders some of our most vulnerable men, our most visible men, the Kanye.
Was that a Freudian slip, or did she combine those together?
And that renders some of our most vulnerable men, our most visible men, the Kanyes and Kyries, the Drakes. Keep Megan Pete's name out your mouth. Okay. The old people won't get it, but the young people do. The Drakes and Tory Laneses of the world.
She's up there in the pulpit taking serious shots. She's taking serious shots from the pulpit.
Some of our most vulnerable men, our most visible men, the Kanyes and Kyries.
Let's start right there with the Kanyes and Kyries. What did they do other than speak out against a whole nother community? I wouldn't even say the community. I would technically say the Jewish elite. All they did is speak out against that. They didn't attack anything else. We can clearly see what kind of power and stronghold that they had over Kanye, and he knew they had that power and stronghold, and he spoke out against it, and then they demonstrated that power and stronghold. Kyrie Irving posted a documentary that didn't deny the HOLA cost. It can't even say certain words because they gonna come for your channel, but it didn't deny that, but it said a lot of stuff. It said a lot of stuff that they didn't like. Why is that a problem to her though? Why is she in the camp backing up, coming at these men for their opinion and perspective, and them risking millions, and in Kanye's case, billions, over what they're saying about Jews? They ain't even your fucking fight. So how does that make any sense? How does that make any damn sense at all?
The Drakes. Keep Megan Pete's name out your mouth. Okay. The old people won't get it, but the young people do.
I must be old because I didn't understand what she said right there.
The Drakes and Tory Laneses of the world, foaming at the mouth, rapidly spouting anti-Semitic, anti-Black.
All right, hold on. See, now she merged the two things together. Drake and Tory Lanez. All Drake did a double entendre and said something about some other chick that calls herself a stallion that got some butt shots that's lying about it. But it was a double entendre. He was really talking about Megan as well, who lied about getting shot. Again, the hell that got to do with her, the hell that got to do with black men at the voting booth, that really don't got nothing to do with nothing. But she's just up here just randomly going at celebrities over celebrity stuff like that. That makes no sense. We're like, put it like this. We a lot of the times be talking about a lot of the shit that women do And then, we'll talk about, oh, well, it's not really, there are sophisticated women who are, smart and in politics and doing all kind of things. But we've said a number of times that even the ones that are higher up in position, okay, yeah, they too big and old to be out there, causing hell, but they support and back up the ones that do. They push for policies that enable the ones that do. They basically the whole sisterhood, everything that we'll talk about when we explain how the whole layout of the Black community is and how all the dysfunction is subsidized and incentivized and everything like that, and how that comes from the Democratic Party. And then you see, liberal women, you see women on the left that lobby and run for office, and they pass the laws to enable and subsidize all of the shit that we deem as fuckery. That's fucking up the community. All the stuff that so it's really, it goes full circle. They're really the same chick, they're all really the same shit, same chick doing the same thing, just from different angles.
Will do. The Drakes. Keep Meg and Pete's name out your mouth. Okay. The old people won't get it, but the young people do. The Drakes and Tory Laneses of the world.
She said keep Meg and Pete's name out your mouth? Is that what she said?
Foaming at the mouth, rapidly spouting anti-Semitic, anti-Black, anti-feminist, anti-factual statements.
Now, I understand if she got a problem if you think he's saying anti-Black. I understand if her assessment is he said some anti-Black stuff and I don't like it. I get that. She's a feminist. If she think he said some anti-feminist stuff and she don't like that, okay, cool. Why is she making it a big deal about anti-Semitism? Like, what? The Black people in the church didn't even know if to clap about that. When it was like a slow, weird, do we clap now? Do we clap? Oh, she said anti-Black. Okay, let's go ahead and clap. It's like, how have they conditioned Black people to give a shit about something that's neutral and off over there somewhere? You got Jewish, you got Jewish elite who do run a lot of stuff and do got a lot of control and do pull a lot of levers. We just saw them pulling it with Kyrie and Kanye, and they say it's anti-Semitic and our feelings are hurt and this or that, or our feelings are hurt when you say this about our community and this or that. But they're really just saying, hey, they're really just trying to come up with a way, like, don't mention how much power we got. Like that's really what they're ultimately trying to say. And it's like it turns into a situation where why would Black people on the ground join in? Like, yeah, don't mention that. But you're trying to say that Black men are the ones falling victim to some misinformation?
We need to talk about the demon of disinformation that has Black male voters in Georgia willing to support Raphael Warnock, but not Stacey Abrams. Come on. Disinformation.
Now that is interesting. Raphael Warnock, and like it's all about Herschel Walker, the one that be on the news, so we be forgetting about getting the other. We forgetting who he running against. But the brother running for Senate out there, I want to make sure I ain't doing no misinformation. I want to make sure I got and that race. That race is too close to call, because I was trying to get my notes together for this morning, and that one ain't even over yet. See, I was about to say who won, but I'm like, nah, I can't say it yet. He was just winning. Yeah, he winning by like less than a percentage point. Okay, I want to make sure I ain't getting no information out there. It is interesting. Raphael Warnock, Black man running against another Black man. He's getting more support than Stacey Abrams running against a white man. Now, what that should do, is make them examine not just black people, but examine the social dynamics and political dynamics between black men and black women and see where that divide is. That divide, it is something. Now it matters. Now Stacey Abrams got her ass whooped by a margin to where you can't blame black men. This is what I think. I don't have the demographics in front of me to prove this, but this is what I think. I think that more white people stayed at home between Herschel Walker and Warnock, but those same white people that not necessarily stayed at home, but just didn't really care or have a dog in the fight or a vote either way. I just think they didn't care. It's 2 black men on the ballot. We don't care. But they made sure that they drew a hard line in the sand for Kemp. You know, even the white women who voted for Kemp. They like, we're gonna vote for this we're gonna vote for this married white man who's married to a white woman. We're gonna vote for this, this family versus voting for single sturdy Stacey. That was the decision that was made. That was the decision that was made. But I do understand her logic in at least saying that people are Warnock is probably about to beat Herschel Walker. But it's close even with all the controversy. He's probably about to still beat Herschel Walker. But Kemp beat Stacey Abrams by a landslide. That is something to chew on. Right there. But Captain Cisco in the building, he says, you see when Stacey Abrams play on Star Trek as the president, I want to see Picard as Federation president, then have Cisco defeat in a election. I'm behind on Star Trek. Sorry, I don't be getting Star Trek references that good. I speak fluent Star Wars, even though Star Trek is technically better because it's more realistic, if that's the right word. But anyway, osmosis, I can't even follow where you're going with that. I am going to watch Next Generation when I get a chance. Osmosis React in the building says, acting like celebs are the leaders again. Yeah, no doubt. Mr. Tobert in the building says, spoke to a black woman today, and the only thing she cares about is baby deletion. Yep, not the war, economy, illegal immigrants, just baby deletion. Yeah, that's why I think Tudor Dixon lost in Michigan. That's why I think she lost in Michigan. I think it's a lot of people who like, nah, y'all ain't taking that away from us. Y'all ain't. We was conservative up until a point. Now y'all saying I can't get an abortion? No. They may like. Sometimes this happens where people will vote. Some people will vote like Democrat on everything, but it may be one particular thing that they vote for to the right on. I have no problem with that. Some people may vote Republican or on the ticket, but it'd be maybe one particular thing they vote to the left on. I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened, or people just said, no, I'm not even going to give these Republicans a chance to take my precious coveted abortion away from me. I think that's what happened. Can't prove it, but that's what I think happened. Orange Pill Nurse in the building says, thou shalt not gaslight black men in the house of the Lord. Absolutely. Somebody should have called her out for that one. PD in the building says, I'd rather vote for an overt racist than a covert Woo, way to spit them bars. Said, I'd rather vote for an overt racist than a covert misandrist. Man. Sir Tice in the building says that statement isn't that deep. If anything, all Brittany is doing is showing her ignorance that we all merely vote on single issues and skin complexion, which is sadly how many of them vote. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. There's good points there. Good points. Herschel and Warnock are going into a runoff in December. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And I think right as I said that a cash app came through for Reginald W. Not gonna put your last name out there unless you eye with it in the chat room. But thank you for that $10 cash app. Do appreciate that. Thanks for coming on. Coming on through. He says, salute BR. Black men gets to blame again. Oh, of course. You know we gotta. They gotta blame. No, they gotta blame us. Gotta blame us. You know the deal. You know the deal. But thank you, everybody who's supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hope I didn't miss none of them. Hopefully I didn't miss none of them, but appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. Let's roll. I think that was all of that I wanted to roll.
We need to think about the spirits that inhabit us, that make us.
Yep. I'm done. She's talking about spirits inhabiting the spirits inhabiting us to make us think critically about what bullshit y'all are throwing out there. Now, I do want to share something with y'all, and this is about to be a Sydney Petty production. This is about to be a Petty Pendergrass production right here. This is what Stacey Abrams, and move that off the screen. Move that off the screen. This is what Stacey Abrams looked like in college. Now, she still looked pretty damn old in the face. I will say that. Shit, she looked old as hell in the face. But this picture proves that there's no such thing as big boned, because they would have had us believe that Stacey Abrams' skeleton would have looked like this. You know, that's what they would have had us believe. But no, her natural born genetic skeleton is that of a normal sized individual. I cracked up laughing when I was sent this. Maybe this was pre-feminism. I remember when they asked her the question, do you think it's a negative on your part that you don't have a husband and you don't demonstrate a nuclear family while running for office and everything and the whole works? And she said, no, she basically said, well, I'm sturdy. That's where the nickname Sturdy Stacey comes from. Because she said she don't, that's her thing. That's what she have for herself. She's strong and she's sturdy. And yeah, so before I open it up, I'm just going to do a quick Petty Pendergrass, Sydney Pettier. It was another Petty that I can't think of. But yeah, you would think that was her skeleton, but no. She was once upon a time skinny. Interesting, I know. Oh boy. Packing my bags, getting in the Uber, saying, to hell, please, to hell. Just take me to hell. Oh shit. I'm gonna show y'all something as I wait for y'all to come up. And I don't want to talk about this. This thing that I'm about to show y'all, I do not want to talk about this. This is a video that I posted, and this was a Sydney Pettier production as well, but on me, where I found a video on the internet of one of God's chosen talking about the Black community. And so I'm going to I spliced the clip. Well, and that looked bad. Yeah, I can't see it. Yeah, I can't see that it has all of Kyrie's demands written next to it while he's saying what he's saying here.
Special message from the Jewish community to This is a special message from the Jewish community to the Black community. Right now, the world is trying to pin us against each other. And I want to let you know, hear it from me first, a Jew, that we have nothing but love, respect, and admiration for you, for your people, for your culture, and for your beautiful community. We wish nothing but the best and nothing but good. And we hope that you feel the same about us. God bless you. God bless all the nations of the world for that matter. We should hear good news. We should hear peace. We should hear love. Because that is what God is about. God bless.
And now, keep in mind, while all of that was playing, it read right there on the screen while all those beautiful things was playing with a Southern Baptist church organ, him, church organ playing in the background, it read, apologize and condemn the film that he promoted. Make a $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes. Complete sensitivity training. Complete anti-Semitism training. Meet with ADL Jewish leaders and meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate an understanding of the situation. All of that. All of that while he's saying, this is a message from the Jewish community to the Black community. Oh man, why you say DJ Khaled? That was not DJ Khaled, man. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. But the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Yeah, mean to tell me don't nobody want to come up and get a piece of this action here. Let me double check, make sure I got the link in there the right way. But while I wait for people to come on up, it apparently seems as if, okay, we got Kenneth Williams in the building with the super sticker. I do appreciate that. We do got Christian Hutchison in the building. He says, don't lie, dudes would have beat. Beat. That's what some people call, half sex. I doubt. Yeah, I don't deny that. I just said she still look kind of old in the face, but no. She would have got it. She got it. Don't lie, dudes would have beat. She get Applebee's and Dollar Menu while your boy rolls up the blunt. Yeah. Dude, hey, I don't deny that. My man Jonathan Barronville in the building. Shout out to JB, says, I don't believe the exit polls are a good representation of how black men actually vote, or how black men actually voted. Please keep in mind that those stats are sample-based and not conducted in a scientifically sound manner. Somebody said, and I don't know, I had food in my beard all this time. Somebody said, and I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure if it's accurate. Oh yeah, and I got to check my email to see if he actually got something for me legit. And I got nothing. He didn't send anything. But somebody said 84% of black men voted for Stacey Abrams. I don't know how he figured that already. But that's what somebody said. So if I say you don't believe the data until it actually comes in, until it actually all the way fully 100% comes in, that is the precise moment when you start believing it. Wait a minute, you said exit polls. Are you talking about the polls after they collect? Maybe I don't know what exit polls are. Maybe I gotta plead ignorance on that. Because after people vote and they collect the information, we gotta go with that. We practically gotta go with that in terms of how people vote. Because if we don't go with that, we got nothing. We got nothing at all if we don't go with that. So I don't know how after they look at the votes, tally the votes, and do what they got to do to come up with whatever, that's, if we can't trust that, we can't trust nothing. That just is what it is. So yeah, I'll tend to stand by that. But hold up real quick. I'm dotting I's and crossing T's. I apologize for the dead air. There's a number of things, since it appears that nobody is joining me right now. There's a few back burner things I can definitely get into real quick. Things that I didn't get into that I had on the agenda sheet, but it got overlooked because sometimes when I get on and start doing panels with y'all, I push a few things to the side. But let me I'm about to pull up something. Ah, damn it, I haven't seen this. Howard Stern brutally slams Kyrie Irving for promoting anti-Semitic documentary on social media. Says he's a fucking moron. But didn't Howard Stern recently get outed for being in blackface, using the N-word? Didn't that just recently happen? If I'm not mistaken, I think that just recently happened. I got Christian in the vehicle. Christian in the car. What's up, man? What you into right now? Wait, hold on, real quick. You should have just put it up there. You just put it right up there. Talking to somebody in the back. Jonathan Barronville says, in other words, I think black men actually did significantly impact Stacey, and I'm proud of that. Yeah, but if it's showing that white women overwhelmingly voted for Stacey, voted for Kemp, then it's like, yeah, black men, we did our thing. We said, hell no, we won't go. But it's like they want to blame us either way. Now, if it's a measurable change in the voting patterns and black men are noticeably voting different and they want to blame us, I own it. I absolutely own that. I think we should own it, and we should be like, yeah, we didn't vote for her ass. However, the landslide victory that Kemp won by, they can't strictly blame it on that. But if they do, that's why the guy in the thumbnail is like, well, oh well. But he says, in other words, I think black men actually did significantly impact Stacey, and I'm proud of that. Us black men in Georgia took Stacey's words and actions very personally. Right on. Shout out to I almost forgot you actually from there. So that's what's up. That's what's up. I like to see that. But what's going on, Christian? What's on your mind? What you got?
Yeah. So first thing, exit polling is actually pretty accurate as long as people tell the truth. That's what the tough part is. Do people actually tell the truth when they do the exit polling? They have the stuff down to a science in terms of sampling and knowing exactly how people are going to vote. But on another thing is what the Abrams losses. Has anyone ever considered that she's not just a good candidate? That's what it comes down to. Is I think the voters of Georgia have rejected her like 2 or 3 times at this point. I mean, you see, like we have John James in Michigan. He tried to run for statewide office a couple times. Isn't it safe to say, shouldn't she just go run for like a congressional district, build up a base of support versus, I'm just saying if she's actually trying to win versus running and trying to scapegoat a whole demographic people because they can't get them across the finish line when, it's just mathematically impossible for black men to do that for her. And I think it's turning people off ultimately. But and then
wait, hold on. You're getting some pushback from that statement. You said, what did you say? You said exit polls are accurate as long as people tell the truth.
Yeah, as long as they tell the truth.
I think we're confused about, okay, what are exit polls?
Basically, exit polling is what happens is when you leave a polling place, they give you a survey and it will be anonymous, and they ask you a set of questions, and therefore they will be able to determine how you voted. There's different. I've only been exit polled one time. I don't think they asked directly how I voted, but they can ask you a set of questions and they can determine basically how you voted based on the questions. But as long as people tell the truth, they can. The exit polling is fairly accurate. The thing is, sometimes people, whether it's pre-polling before the election or after the election, people don't tell the truth. Like I've had surveys where I just flat out told them untrue things because I just wanted to get them off the phone.
Well, you're damn near admitting that you can't trust the exit polls. See, I was naive enough to think, and I'm glad I just got some education on this. I was naive enough to think that once the votes came in and were tallied and calculated and the winner was selected, they can look at the actual, the demographics of the ballot. So I mean, they looked at the actual votes and came up with, okay, 84% of black men voted this way, 77% of black women voted that way. I thought they actually looked at the actual votes and came up with that. Now, if that's true, that they base it all off just self-reported polls from people who could very well be lying, then we really don't know how anybody vote. But for that matter, I mean, I want to be wrong on that.
Well, as what happens is they know the demographic makeup of certain demographic makeup of certain precincts, and they can back into it just like anything. If you know the demographic makeup of certain precincts, that you can tell if people voted in the last election, so they can again back into it. This is down to a science. They know this stuff. This just from the classes I took in college about voting patterns, there's a lot of money put into this stuff. They know exactly how people vote. They know what precincts vote what way, the margins required for winning in certain precincts. This is all very defined, especially right now because we're fresh out of a census. So the data is in terms of where people live and the demographic makeup of those places are very, very well established. It's not like we're 8 years out from a previous census where the data might be a little more shaky, but they still are pretty comfortable with how things match up there. So it's just like anything. So imagine they know my address, right? So for instance, in my neighborhood, they know my address. They can look and tell in 2 or 3 months, did I vote or not? And then they can look at what so they know my demographic information, and then they can start extrapolating who voted for what, right? They can start guessing based on certain things.
Yeah, it sounds it sounds kind of shaky. I don't know. I don't because
they don't know how
when they base it off surveys, it could be a post Bradley effect. You know what I mean? Like everybody said they're going to vote one way, but then they didn't, or everybody could actually vote one way, leave and get on the survey and say just anything. But if you're saying there's a technical, empirical, analytical baked into the system way of figuring out how somebody voted based off their actual ballot that went through a computer and got calculated, if I trust that if that's how if they could do it that way.
Yeah, they can't say Christian Hutchinson voted this way in the last election. What they can say is Christian Hutchinson lives in this precinct, right? We know this demographic data about that precinct, right? We know his demographic data, and we can start establishing certain patterns based on certain things to determine how people voted based on where he voted versus based on where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this is they know this stuff. Like it's very, very well vetted out. There's lots of money spent on this. So
okay. Aside from the exit polls, what takeaways do you have from this whole thing?
Well, I mean, when it just comes down to it, I mean, I think I think that I didn't think it was going to be a massacre at the polls that the Republicans were expecting because of the certain things on the ballot in some states. And I mean, the leading indicator was it showed you what happened in Kansas and a couple other states that people want to protect certain rights, certain reproductive rights.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to be able to just take those away because it's been an established right for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And to take it away, yet they're saying like they say any government program or any sort of government program or anything, once it's established, it's nearly impossible to take away. So, I mean, you're seeing this play out in real time, and then on top of that, there's just really there's two different. The country lives in two very different places, in terms of how things behave and how people operate. So, I mean, this is not surprising in a lot of ways. But another thing is too, I would say is I think that you're going to see you're going to see 2024 is going to ramp up here within the next 3 to 5 weeks because the battle lines have been drawn and it's very clear. It's going to be interesting when they draw the electoral map. Just you can see it even when they're showing the different places on the larger maps in various states. It's very obvious that all the Dems are concentrated into population centers, and all the Republicans are outside the population centers, and it's razor thin margins on either side.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that, and that's what I said in my whole little opening monologue. I was more or less pointing out that I think there's a lot of people who are, a little more pro-choice than what they admit publicly. I was looking at it. I remember when I was reading my ballot and I was reading everything, because it was like both of us are in Michigan, for those that don't know. So I was sitting there reading it, and it was very wordy. It was putting a lot of mumbo jumbo language in there. It was like 3 paragraphs long, it seemed, but I'm like, this is really just an up or down vote for abortion, really. I mean, did you look at it like that when they were saying on the part, I forgot what proposal it was or what it was, but it was a part on there that was basically just about abortion. Did you take it the way I took it? This is an up or down vote on abortion.
Yeah, that's the way I like. When I was hearing people give editorial and commentary on it, they were making it sound like it was going to involve like all this other stuff with like trans rights and this and this and this. I read the thing, and it was literally only talking about, post-pregnancy mitigation. That's all I was talking about on proposal 3.
Yeah, see, you remember. See, my memory bad. I don't remember what.
Yeah, it was proposal 3. Yeah, it passed. Another thing is too, so that's what it just came down to. And I just look at it. People are going to, again, Kansas, which is a pretty conservative state. They protected those sort of rights. So what makes you think the other states, which are a little more liberal leaning, we're not going to do the same? So
yeah, and especially when you word it in the way like, should a woman and her doctor be the ones who make the decisions about pregnancy and giving birth and postnatal care and this or that? Should the woman and her doctor be the ones who make that decision? Okay, of course anybody gonna say yeah to that, but so that's why I'm like, it was put in a way to where I think overall it made people think like, wait a minute, these Republicans are going to get in. We give them too much. We get like sort of like what tends to happen with the left. We give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They were probably looking at it like, okay, we give the Republicans an inch, they're going to take a mile. And so it was. So I think that had a lot to do why a lot of people went blue instead of red. I think that had a lot to do with it. And I didn't look at the ballot in every other state, but I think this is just my theory. I think the Roe v. Wade situation is what kind of got in the way of what would have been the red wave, because it's like, I think people started looking at it in terms of, okay, what does this going to the right really look like, and are we really with that? I think a lot of people looked at it like that, and they said, we can't go. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, and even though, so I guess the main thing is with all this thing that's happening, especially down in, I just compare. There was a lot of, I found it interesting so much that there was so much attention paid to Stacey Abrams down in down in Georgia.
Yeah,
but there was basically none paid for Westmore in Maryland. Both heavy back populations, both heavily in Maryland's case, like Hogan, he was a Republican governor, so they show that they do elect Republicans there. They have shown that consistently over the last 20 years that they will elect Republican statewide reps there. So I found it interesting that there was no attention paid to Westmore. I've been following Westmore since I watch Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. I watch them pretty regularly, not as much as I used to, but I've been watching them for like over a decade. So he was a contributor on there back when they first started, back in like the late in like 2007, 2008. So I've been very aware who that guy was for a long time. So I found it interesting that no one was talking about him. And I think that again speaks to the issue within the Black community, or that even the Democratic Party has, that this is the type of Black person that they should be championing, and they just ignore it because it doesn't fit a narrative. He's a dude who went to the military. He went to the military, went to college. He went to Oxford. He went to Johns Hopkins and Oxford. Those are two of the world's elite institutions. He worked on Wall Street. He's married to a Black woman with his kids, and he's married to a Black woman with 2 kids, and they act like that he does not exist. That tells you something of what's wrong with our culture, and then what the problem the Democratic Party has too is that this is just a normal dude, and they just can't. They don't want to put that out there because it's going to rub people the wrong way.
Do you think it's really just a factor of him just being a normal dude, and that's rubbing people the wrong way? Or it is hard to explain because, again, I didn't know, wasn't necessarily following what was going on in Maryland, but when he won, I was like, oh, this is it. That's when I started researching him and started looking him up, and I was thinking the same thing, that this guy should be, kind of a story as well, but it's like
because he didn't smoke, he didn't sell crack growing up or do something like that. He don't got Herschel Walker problems or nothing like that. He is no different. This is why the Black middle class, particularly Black middle class men, are overlooked in the national politic, because it's not an interesting story to tell to the masses, because there's nothing intriguing about it. He went to college, he commissioned as an Army officer, he went to graduate school, he got a job at a bank, and now he's running for political office. That is how most politicians and most leaders in our country have always been groomed. That has been the template for 200 plus years. That's what the templates were, and he did that. And here he is. It's not interesting. He didn't. Even President Obama, he didn't do the military. He had a little bit more interesting of a backstory as a childhood. But again, what did he do? He went to law school. Lawyers come out of the presidents come out of 2 things. They come out of law, or they come out of the military. Or recently, they're coming more and more out of the business class. He's it's interesting how much they don't want to acknowledge how success is repeatable, to the point that they will ignore it. Like, again, people didn't even know that Wes Moore was running, and they actually made a comment. I saw something last night when they're analyzing his run. They said that the thing that made it interesting was he's a third governor. He's a third Black governor in U.S. history. Okay, only the second one elected. They wanted to say. Only the second one that's been elected. And they said, in particular, that him being Black wasn't the reason he won, and him being Black wasn't the reason he wouldn't win. So in other words, he checked all the boxes of what you would expect a leader of the United States to have. And they're like, oh, well, he checks all the boxes, so we're going to vote for him. And we as a community have rejected that concept. And then the Democratic Party feeds it, because it means that they can't co-sign the craziness. They can't feed the craziness that keeps the coffers filled up.
Yeah, good stuff. That's just I just pulled up an image of him for those who don't know who he is or what he looked like. Just gave a supporting image right there. So, so some places on social media acknowledging it says Maryland elects its first Black governor, Wes Moore. So he's no controversy behind it, so it's not talked about as much. So good, definitely good points on that one. We got Jay Bizzle. Hold on, is that Jay? Yeah, that's JB, I think. That's
yeah. What's up, Bernard?
Yeah, you got
What's up?
I saw that Jay Bizzle on somebody else's channel. It might have been Anti. It might have been on Fight Club. I don't know why I said Fat Club. Fatty. I don't know. It may have been on Fight Club. But yeah, I saw that Jay Bizzle. It made me laugh. Hold on real quick. We got KN/Kareem in the building says Westmore, great candidate. He ran a great charity too. Shout out to you. Appreciate everybody supporting the stream. All right, JB, you in the building. You got the floor. You got the mic. What's going on?
Yeah, I just came up here to correct one thing, right? Because I don't think the brother realized. I think it's Christian, right? I don't think he realized he contradicted himself, right? Because this is actually very important. He said exit polls are like a science, and then he said, as long as people tell the truth. That's not how science works, brother. Like you're basically saying they're fairly accurate as long as people respect the honor system. That's literally not how science works. Like if you look at any type of statistic, right? Even if you like read like academic literature, typically they'll break down the methodology used, how they came about their sample size, etc. Exit polls are pretty opaque to most people, right? They're pretty opaque, and also just there's a wide range of assumptions that they make that are not necessarily useful. So I'll give you an example. In Atlanta, where Stacey Abrams, was running, was doing the most, right? You got Fulton County as an example, right? Now you got in Fulton County, you got East Point, and then you got Buckhead, right? In East Point, you're gonna find that a majority of people in East Point are more in the lower socioeconomic status, whereas a bunch of a good number of the people in Buckhead are in the higher socioeconomic status, and also by extension, more people in Buckhead will be the most educated, etc. So a lot of the assumptions will base it on the county sometimes, and by basing it on the county, you're actually making an assumption that may not be correct, because while people in East Point may just not go vote, they may be more likely to not go vote, and then if they do vote, they may just by default just vote Democrat. The more educated individuals tend to be more sophisticated with their votes, right? So there's the way you're saying there's a science to it, yet you can't tell me what the science is, because there is no science to it. It's literally opaque. Unless you can tell me what the actual methodology is, it's actually very opaque.
Well, okay, so basically what happens is, technically then everything is self-reported. The census is self-reported. When I filled out my 2020 Census Bureau, no one came out and verified the racial makeup in the ages of my children, right? No one did that. So the assumption is when you have it's called like the law of large numbers. Like when you start looking at certain things, obviously with exit polling, we're not talking about massive millions and millions of points collected. So I get that. But the assumption is that if people fill out the stuff correctly and they have wiggle room in those calculations, in those statistical analysis for that people may not be truthful in some sort of way. That's why they have margins for errors and things like that. They know the demographic makeup of a precinct. They know the income makeup of a precinct. These are all things that they know going into the election. And then when the election is over, they can even see how many people voted at that precinct versus how many people were registered. They have all this stuff.
Listen, but everything you just mentioned, except for like the actual numbers that they can get from the Secretary of State, right? Those are all assumptions, is my point, and you cannot counter that. Those are literally, and there's a difference, because sample size statistics is based on representative samples, right? And that's why I said methodology, because you don't. It's not just a matter of, when you do statistics, it's not just a matter of getting a sample and then just basing it off the law of large numbers. It's, can you get a representative sample? And the point that I'm making here is that there is no science that this is a representative sample. And not only that, there's also actual very important difference here when it comes to exit polls versus the census and whatnot, because when it comes to politics, people feel very it's a very sensitive topic, right? So for example, if the person outside, like in Georgia, a lot of people who work at the polls are Black women. Now, if Stacey Abrams is running, and then you as a Black man, you just voted for Kemp, and you walk out there and this Black woman is asking you, who did you vote for? How comfortable is the average Black man going to feel to look at a Black woman and tell her, yeah, I just voted against Stacey Abrams, right? That's a legitimate Like that's not something you can actually dismiss. Like this is a
Yeah,
very
you
important
can't qualify. Yeah, you can't quantify you can't quantify that. That is 100% true.
And so that's why I'm saying you cannot say it's fairly accurate because it's literally based on an honor system that, especially in this case, is very likely to be broken. Right? In the case of politics, it's very likely to be broken because it's not like you're entering it into a system. There's a human being in front of you, and you have to answer these very sensitive questions, right? That get people feeling a type of way.
Okay, so let me give you an example of, and you'll probably understand this. In the state of Florida, they can kind of basically predict which way a statewide election will go based on how the votes come in the Panhandle and how they come in. I think in the Tampa Bay, in the Tampa Bay area, basically that tells them because of when they close, they know how many votes are in play, and they know generally how certain other areas are going to vote. So the things that swing the election are up in the Panhandle, in the Tampa Bay area, and they know this. So that's
right,
like the example.
Brother, you're missing the context. I'm not telling you that predictions are wrong or just generally wrong. What I'm saying is, in a race like this is why I keep saying specifically in this case, right?
Okay.
Like for example,
okay, I got you. Okay, I get
because I want you to hear this, right? Because there's some races, there's some areas, right? So for example, I grew up in Massachusetts. I pretty much expect a Democrat to win every time, right? We can predict it, right? We can predict it. That's not even up for debate. But when you have something like Stacey Abrams and it's so close, and it really is depending on whether or not, black men and black women will show out. Suddenly it does matter. Suddenly how they actually conduct those surveys actually does matter, because as a black man, when this black woman is standing in front of you to survey you, how comfortable are you to tell her, yeah, I just voted against the black woman? Because as much as we may try to act like these people are just objective about it, they actually do feel a type of way. And just you're in front of a human. It's one thing if you're typing it into a computer, right? And then you don't have to involve another human being, but you're literally face to face with another human, and you have to tell them how you just voted.
Okay, so the one time I was exit polled, it was a piece of paper. So I've never been exit polled verbally. I don't know if that's still a thing. I know it was a long time ago, but I know exit polling these days I think take place via a survey, like a survey which the person can sit there and watch you fill it out, and that there is a level of intimidation to it, which I'm going to say yes, that is true.
JB. Mic check on JB.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I was muted. I was muted. My bad.
Okay.
No, so I was
saying,
what
do you think about that part right there, that the exit polls are written versus doing it audibly to an actual
it probably depends on where you go, because in some places they actually have a physical person asking the questions. So I think it depends on. I think it might depend on the precincts. I think it might depend on, I don't know, but again, that's the other thing too. It also depends on who's actually doing the exit polls. That's what I'm saying. It's so opaque, and this is my issue with it, is that people just naturally take the exit polls as a science. Whereas, if I go and I read an academic paper, right, and there's some numbers on it, the paper has to tell me what was your methodology, how did you come about your sample, right? All of that for me to take it seriously, for it to be properly peer reviewed. You have to know how they came about it, but you just get these exit polls, and I guarantee you, most people, if you ask them, where did you get that 84% number? They can't actually tell you. They cannot actually tell you the legitimate source. They'll just tell you it's accurate. But how is it? How do you know it's accurate? How can I go and re-verify that it's accurate? And if there's no way for me to verify it, then you cannot tell me that it's, because essentially what you're telling me is to just trust me, right? That's what you're telling me. That's not how stats work. Anytime you have statistics, it should be something that you can reproduce. There should be some way you can verify that this is somewhat accurate, right? This is at least somewhat accurate with an actual methodology. There is no such thing when it comes to exit polls.
I'm all right. So just from the jobs I've worked at, and I know this is, there are multi-million or billion-dollar decisions based on data collection and people filling in gaps of data because of, we know certain things are true because of certain levels of behavior. So here's a perfect example. I used to run a parts database for a large manufacturer, for aftermarket parts. We would track all the types of configurations of vehicles. Sometimes what would happen is things will come in from the Secretary of State or various other places where they register vehicles where where the configuration of the vehicle would be wrong, but we would know based on data that that was not the correct configuration of data of a vehicle, because we knew that that was an outlier, and therefore we could assign values based on the values that were there to the vehicles.
Brother, you just skip past everything I just said. I don't know what you're trying to get at. I literally just explained to you what the problem is with that system. What did I say that was wrong? Can you tell me what I just said that was incorrect?
So if you're saying, if what your argument is that it's not exact because it's
No,
not,
that's not what I'm saying. I don't expect it to be exact. I'm saying statistics, right? And I'm saying this as somebody who actually has a background in that, right? Statistics. Okay, so then if you have a background in statistics, you should understand that when it comes to statistics, right? Yes, it's sample based, but it's representative sample based. And not only that, you should be able to describe exactly what the methodology you use to come to those conclusions were, right? That's my point. And when you look at exit polls, the methodology is opaque. You cannot say, so unless you can tell me exactly what the methodology is, that's literally what makes it a science.
So okay, so you're saying because of
wait, before you argue with me, am I correct on that or not? Let's actually have a basis.
Yes, you are correct. Yes,
okay,
you are correct.
So then what is the methodology here?
I mean, I've never ran an exit poll, so I don't know how they actually are run specifically. But I've taken classes on voting patterns, and we went over how they do prediction modeling in real time. They went over that, but I don't know how they actually get into actual selection.
That's my point, brother. That's my point. You could look up any stat right now, right? You could look up any stat right now, and you can go to the source. If it's an academic paper, there's going to be a section in that paper that's going to tell you, here is how we came to our sample. Here's the methodology that we use. Here's the margin. Here's the error rate, and here's why we came to this error rate, right?
Correct. Yeah.
There is no such thing for exit polls. People just take it at face value. That's my point. So you cannot just say it's fairly accurate and they have it down to a science when it's not a science. Because statistics, there's a very specific meaning for statistics. That's my point.
Okay. Let me ask this question, JB, because it sounds like a lot of the political discussion when they're talking about, okay, this group or this demographic voted this much for this person or that person, that they're technically borderline blowing smoke up our ass. In other words, that what you came here to tell us?
Not necessarily, because there are some predictions they can make, right? But it depends on the race. It depends on how crucial it is.
No, I'm not talking about prediction. I'm talking about after the voting is done and they want to tell us demographically why this person won or lost. It's still a grain of salt, kind of. It's a bare minimum.
It definitely is a grain of salt. Absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to that, yeah. I mean, specifically with politics, again, like I said, because it's a sensitive topic. And Bernard, just as this is anecdotal, right? But like, this entire election cycle, the only mail that I've gotten is from Democrats. You know what I'm saying? The only mail I've gotten is from Democrats, right?
But
the only messages I've gotten is from Democrats because they just assume I'm a Democrat.
But that could be based on your precinct that you're registered to.
That's my point. Thank you. You're making my point for me. You're making my point for me.
But the thing is, after the election is over. After the election is over, they're going to say that 1,000 people voted at your precinct, and they're going to say 1,000 people voted, and 800 voted one way, and 200 voted the other way. And then they're on top of that, they're going to know the demographic makeup in terms of the ages, the income, the race of your specific precinct, and based on voting patterns, they can assign how.
I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about exit polls. If you're talking about exact data, nobody would argue exact data. I'm talking about exit polls because the reason I'm talking about exit polls is because the reason I brought this up is I'm already seeing like people sharing charts and saying 84% of Black men voted for Stacey Abrams, and I'm arguing that. You said what?
They wouldn't know that yet.
Right, and so but they're using exit polls for that. That's my point. They're using exit polls as a way to say, here's how many, here's the percentage of Black men who voted for Stacey Abrams, and I'm arguing based on being here on the ground and seeing how a lot of Black men feel about Stacey Abrams. I really highly doubt that number, especially since there's no way for you to actually verify the correctness and accuracy of those numbers. That's all. That's essentially what I'm saying.
All right. I mean, fair enough. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Gore in the building says JB is right on this. Look up the Rich Barris. Says People's Pundit, director of Big Poll Data, to learn how polling is not reliable anymore. I'm like, when was it? For that matter. I mean, we talk about stats a lot on here, and there's a lot of studies and stats and things that get quoted where I always do look at, okay, what was the methodology? It's been a lot of them where I actually took the time and went through it and I find the flaw in it. So it's a little disheartening because I when you look at exit polling, you know, after the voting is done and they tell us demographically, you know, how many black men voted for Trump in the 2020 election. I hope that they get that as accurate as possible because I really want to know if, you know, there's to what degree and what, you know, percentage that we can actually verify empirically that, you know, there's a wave or a new wave or a change in black men's mindset, the whole thought process, you know, socially, politically, and everything else. I do want us to be able to measure that as accurately as possible.
So one issue that it's going to be tougher for it to measure. So for instance, in the area that I'm in, the area that I'm in, for instance, a Democrat and a Republican are so similar. It actually probably comes down to the individual candidate, not outside the congressional side, because we get pulled into the east side of Detroit for congressional races. So it's like moot. You have to vote for a Democrat because you're not going to be able to, like, it's just moot. Like, there's no Republican going to win that portion of the area. So basically what happens is but when you look at like the state reps or you look at like Senate races or statewide, it's much more even because Democrats are located in population centers. People in population centers behave very differently than people outside of population centers, where a lot of Republicans have most of their representatives, whether it's at the state level or at the federal level. And so it's very different. And so then it actually comes down to the individual candidates. I'm talking about when you actually get into these toss-up districts where they can go either way, not necessarily districts where it's hard one way or another because it's been configured as a safe Republican or a safe Democrat district.
All right. Let me see. But no, good.
By
good
the way,
debate,
Bernard,
guys. Oh, go ahead.
Did you see Pennsylvania? They actually, man, I'm gonna look at anybody who tells me they're from Philly or anywhere in Pennsylvania moving forward. I'm gonna look at you like an idiot. Okay, like they actually voted for Fetterman.
Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention to
the dude that can barely construct a sentence. Right now, let me be, you know, respectful.
Is he the one that had the stroke?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Let me be respectful. The brother had a stroke, right? And that's not funny or anything. Right? It's not funny. That's actually, you know, that's unfortunate. Yeah. That's unfortunate, right? And it could happen to any of us. But he's still not fucking fit for office. And the fact that these people actually voted him into office, I mean, I'm amazed. I am actually amazed.
I think the bigger issue was that Dr. Oz was running. I think the other person who was running for that seat was he was like the district U.S. attorney out of Philadelphia. He wanted the seat, but Oz beat him in the primary. And a lot of people are saying right now that if the U.S. attorney from Philadelphia had ran, he would have obviously won because Dr. Oz was obviously a flawed candidate. I mean, the candidate does matter. Party matters, but the candidate itself does matter, especially in a place like Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a swing state that leans Democrat. So you have to have a quality candidate, no matter what. You can't just run.
I agree, brother. I agree with you. But this is one of those cases where you could take ideology, party out of this, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you would not have a person on a wheelchair fixing your roof, right? Now, you could feel bad for them. You know what I'm saying? You could feel bad for them being on their wheelchair. You could look out for them, but they're not qualified to fix your roof, right? So what I'm saying is, Pennsylvania, they took a massive L for electing this dude. In fact, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go in on him because, again, you know, it's a medical condition, it's a medical situation. But I'm just saying, this man could barely construct a sentence. And I honestly thought, I'm like, there's no way a smart electorate is going to vote for this guy. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. And then I watched last night and I saw he was elected, and I just, you know, my mind blew up.
You're saying it's people like him why the Electoral College was invented to make sure that to make sure people don't put him in the White people like him in the White House. Is he that bad in your assessment?
Well, let me put it like this, Bernard. Right? Let me put it like this for you. I was saying that I would vote for a turtle in a dress before I voted for Stacey Abrams, right? But I was actually joking when I said that. Except what Pennsylvania has proven is that they would actually vote for a turtle in a dress. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's actually pretty bad. That, like, to me, it's, yeah. I don't know how, like, I don't even know how to explain that one.
Was his inability to talk, was it just during that debate post-stroke, or is that how he just talks regularly at this point?
At this point, he seems to be he's not in the right. I want to be respectful. I actually legitimately want to be respectful. So there's
no line of, okay, he recovered and now he's fine. No, he still seems not fine.
Yes, he still seems like yeah.
I don't know a lot about Fetterman's background, so I can't tell you, my opinion on him one way or another. But
the thing is, people voted for him out of pity. It seems people voted for him out of pity, which makes no damn sense. You don't vote somebody in office out of pity. You need them to be able to actually, like, do some shit.
Well, now, mind you, he was lieutenant governor. So people might have been somewhat happy with the job he was doing as lieutenant governor. I believe in Pennsylvania, you vote for governor and lieutenant governor separate. So they had a Republican governor and a Democrat lieutenant governor. So,
brother, he actually ran on that though, because recently after his debate, like I said, the Democrats keep emailing me and they keep sending me shit, even though I don't know why they keep doing it. And I received one of his emails. I could probably forward it to you, Bernard. You could share it, whatever. And one of his emails, literally, his whole pitch was that, I fell down, but I'm back up, or some bullshit like that. Like, he's literally, his whole thing was, it was a pity email, like, vote for me because you feel bad for me. That's basically what the email was. Is vote for me because you feel bad for me.
Let me ask you this, JB, with you being in ATL and all. Warnock, Herschel Walker, like, what's your I don't know, take it anywhere you want to take it. What's your view on that race on either of those guys?
I mean, I think Warnock will probably win in the runoff, but I don't like Warnock personally. I don't like the dude. I think he's a walking contradiction in so many ways. The man, like, he's a reverend in at a historic church, but yet he calls himself a pro-choice reverend. Like, these new age Christians or something else, bro. Like, it makes no sense. Like, he's a pro-choice reverend. The dude is at pride rallies, literally, like, in the rally, not just on the sidelines watching. Like, he's literally at pride rallies in the rally. Okay, pride parades and shit. Again, he can believe whatever he wants to believe, but my issue with him is that if you're gonna use your reverend status as part of your campaign, then now we got to hold you to a different standard. If he just ran as Raphael Warnock, not Reverend Raphael Warnock, and not constantly bringing up God, then I would look at him differently. But he literally cannot stop bringing up his church, right? He literally cannot stop bringing up God. But then he'll say some bullshit like, I'm a pro-choice reverend. What the hell does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Please explain that shit.
I think we can agree that the two black men we had running in Georgia were not a good look for black men as a whole, that they were both problematic. I was embarrassed about the two guys they put up in Georgia. I found them both embarrassing. That's just, Herschel Walker.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Herschel Walker's problematic. I was, I don't live in Georgia. I would not vote for Mr. Warnock. But when I saw this race like shaping up in the spring, I was just like, these are two for a big state that's going to be a battleground state in 2 years, and and black men are kind of taking center stage in this race, facing off against each other. These are two not good representatives. Why couldn't we have the Westmore John James matchup in Georgia with all the black men we have down in Georgia that are doing well for themselves? We had to get Warnock and Herschel Walker, which isn't good.
I agree, but I think I just personally, on a personal level, I just do not like Raphael Warnock. Like, the dude to me is a walking contradiction, a walking clown. Like during the pandemic, this dude was evicting people during the pandemic, and then he lied during the debate about that because there's literal paperwork. Like, it's one thing if there's nothing to prove it. There's actual paperwork in the courthouse that anybody can go look at of this man.
The pandemic.
This man's church. You said what?
What's wrong with evicting people during the pandemic?
Oh, wait a minute. You don't know who you talking to.
Wait.
You don't know who you talking to.
Listen, he was
Christian be putting single mothers with special needs kids out on the street if they don't pay their damn rent. You don't know who you talking to. So
Bernard, here's what's worse though. Here's what's worse, Bernard. Like, it was these people are getting evicted over like $200 in just over $200, $100, $200. And it's on the paperwork. So you don't even have to take my word for it. Just go look up the paperwork yourself. Right? It's on the paperwork.
If she owe, she owe.
I'm saying this is a reverend.
You don't know who you talking to, JD.
I'm just saying again. I wish he just ran as Raphael Warnock, right? But once you make it reverend, and then you keep this man cannot stop bringing up his church. He cannot stop bringing up God, and it's like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, I hear you, but hold on. Let me pull up a little something. See, y'all be sleeping on my shorts. Hold on. Some of them be funny as hell. This was a clip from when Christian was on my show. Hopefully y'all could see it good. It's only about 45 seconds long. Hold on.
And they fought it for 4 or 5 months. I evicted somebody and they fought it for 4 or 5 months. So they owed me.
Christian, did you put a single mother out on the streets?
Yep.
Oh shit, that's what you meant, Bernard.
Yep.
And she had a special needs child.
Oh damn, you just gangster with it, huh?
She owed me my money. She was stealing from me.
You pulling a full-blown Stewie Griffin on her. Like,
where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
She owed me my money. No, she owed me my money. She, anyway, they didn't want to leave. I gave them opportunity just to surrender the property, but they refused to leave, so I had to go through the legal process.
Yeah, so yeah.
Hey,
you don't fuck around.
Was this a black woman, Christian? I didn't hear an answer, bro.
Next question.
Damn, you ain't shit, brother. You ain't good. But see, hey, listen. Even though your name is Christian, you don't got Reverend in front of your name, so you.
Oh man. So anyway, JB, what's your thoughts on Herschel Walker?
I mean,
you like his politics at least. Well, no, I'm not gonna leave you. Go ahead. Go ahead. What's your thoughts?
I'm gonna keep it a bean, Bernard. I obviously just felt like he was the better option than Warnock. I do like some of the things he says. Do I believe he's gonna do shit? No, I really don't. I don't believe he's gonna do shit. I know it's obvious that he knows how to push the right message and how to frame himself a certain way. Even when he's doing, my favorite is like when he's giving his little speeches and whatnot, and how he makes sure he's like, first I want to give thanks to God, to the Lord, to the Most High, however he says it, like he knows exactly how to, frame himself to attract the right audience, right? But for me, I'm not a political idiot, so I know what he's doing. That being said, to me, he was just the better option. he was the better option. And mostly just because I just have something personal against against Warnock. Like, I just don't like the dude. Like, to me, he just gives me snaky vibes in so many ways. He's a walking contradiction. Yeah, like, I don't quite feel the same way about Walker, but I also don't believe that Walker is gonna, like, even during the debate, like when we're asking questions, Walker, if we're being honest, barely actually answered, like, at least with substance. Like, a lot of the important questions, he just did the typical Republican thing and just like, talked about the Joe Biden inflation and all that other stuff, right? Rather than actually giving like substantive answers. And again, this is why I don't play both. I don't play the party shit, because both sides play the same stupid games. And so, what Herschel Walker did was just basically do the Trump thing of like, I'm just going to blame Democrats for everything and whatnot. And while there's some of that blame is to Democrats, but to me, that's not useful to me, right? What's useful to me is giving me something substantive, like something that actually answers the question, like, how are you going to actually address this? Rather than just telling me, how bad Joe Biden is and how bad his inflation is. Like, that doesn't really tell me shit. So that's how I feel about Walker. What I feel about him is that I don't think he's going to accomplish anything, but I really don't like Warnock. I just really don't fucking like the guy.
Yeah. Well, look like you might be stuck with Warnock though. I mean, at least he was winning by less than a full percentage point. It was so I don't know. Who knows what could happen? But Christian, it sounds like you it sounds like the personal thing that, and the link is open, anybody can come here and get in this conversation. But Christian, it sounds like the seemingly personal shit that JB got against Warnock. It sounds like, at least from what I read in the chat, you kind of had that same type of thing about Herschel Walker. Like, you just think he a piece of shit, in other words. So is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, I mean, he got babies all over town. This is the thing. I'm very familiar with Herschel Walker because I'm a sports fanatic. So when I heard he was running for Senate, I was like, are we for real about to run this guy with all the stuff that's out there about him? I mean, that's like, this is kind of like, so we're not trying to talk ill of the dead. This would like be the, since we're from Michigan, this would be like if he hadn't died. If Charles Rogers ran for Senate, people would be like, is this a good idea? You know what I'm saying? Like, all the stuff is out there about him. I'm pretty sure people knew all that stuff that was out there that came out about him. It was out there. And I just found it embarrassing for Black men in general that in the state of Georgia, these are the two guys you could dig up. It's like, it's kind of embarrassing that all those guys down there in ATL, and this is what we got to dig up, is these two guys.
Well, is the problem that he made a lot of babies, or is that he was on some hypocritical? As far as I know, you talked a lot about, I mean, what Republican running for office is not talking about traditional family values and shit. So is it more so that, or are you just like, just on some just mad at him because he got some women pregnant? Or I mean, I don't even know the chronology. Honestly, I'll plead ignorance. I don't even know if he like knocked up a bunch of women while married to another woman. I mean, I understand that's
he has multiple children out of wedlock. I knew for sure before he ran that he had a kid. He had one kid that he wasn't taking care of, because I remembered vaguely like a lawsuit back years and years ago. I remember like coming across the wire that I read that he was caught up in a lawsuit. And I don't know, there's lawsuits all the time. You never know if it's true or not. Right. But so I remembered that. And then and then there was a thing with how he was paying, he was giving women money for them to take care of situations he had. And here he was talking about, he was not.
You saying it was room out there that he was basically paying for abortions and whatnot? Was that what you said?
Yeah, I mean that was out there. I mean, it was out there, and they had the checks. They had the checks that he gave them for them, and you're like, oh my goodness. And
that makes him hypocritical, because the one part of the debate that I really watched is when he was grilling Warnock on the whole abortion thing. Yeah,
See, the one thing though, Bernard, is that, well, two things, right? So the first thing is that for me, a lot of the stuff, like if you look at a lot of these campaign attack ads, you realize, like, again, both sides play the same game, right? Because like on one hand, you'll see Walker's team, right, or campaign, they'll have a attack ad about what Warnock apparently did to his wife, ex-wife, wife, whatever. And then on Warnock's side, they'll have a campaign ad about what Herschel Walker did to ex-wife. And they're both literally just, rolling in the mud, doing the same shit to each other. So for me, I don't really put that much on like rumors or stuff like that. Like I'm more so focused on like the things that are like, there's some kind of record of something, rather than allegations. I really don't care for allegations because ultimately I know it's just political games. But the other thing too about Walker in particular that I can say that makes it at least, I don't know, that at least you can, close your nose and vote for him is that for the role he's running is he's running for Senate, right? And so at least in terms of votes, right, in terms of what he would vote for, you at least know he'll probably vote for the things that we mostly agree with, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like at least in terms of the role, like if we put how we feel about him personally aside, he'll probably vote for the things that I mostly agree with. Like I agree with him on well, at least with what he says and what Republicans run on.
You agree with his policies on abortion, not his actual lived reality on it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, at least in terms of how he might vote, like it would be surprising for him to, get into that role and then, vote, mostly in a Democratic fashion, right? Like that's unlikely to happen. So for me, at least in that, from that standpoint, I'm willing to, accept it.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. There's no perfect candidates. Well,
and I'm
for the most part, I mean, there's people like like we talked about John James earlier. Hell, Barack Obama was one who fires. We got a clean record. There are some with absolute 100% clean records, but what it comes down to is somebody who got issues and problems versus somebody that got issues and problems. Okay, you're going to vote for the person that got issues and problems that is at least policy-wise going to fight for the stuff that you generally believe in. I think that's what we end up with a lot of the times. But go ahead, Kristen. You were trying to jump in.
So I had a couple people reach out to me not last year. There's a couple years ago with John James and asking me if I would vote for him. And I try to explain to them that John James is going to have a hard time getting black people to vote for him because I try to explain this to people, to like some of my non-black friends, like, because they, sometimes they just think they can just put a black person in front of you and all like thinking goes away and everything. But what happens is I try to explain to them, like, you can be a black Republican, but see, Republicans have to accept that if you have a black Republican and they accept it with Hispanics and Cubans and different people, there's certain things that black people are going to have to cop to for black people to know that they're on their side. And John James would not do that because he was trying to make sure he always solidified his Republican base. And when you do that, like even James Craig, when he was trying to run, there's certain things he copped to. He was the former police chief of the city of Detroit, and the reason why he couldn't run for governor because of he was caught up in that whole signature issue that a bunch of people got caught up in the Republican side. But either way, there's certain things that as a black person, you got to cop to. And if you don't cop to certain things about how society actually operates or views black people, it makes people say, okay, it makes you come off as disingenuous. And I told some of my friends that, and I had several of my other black buddies who said that they were approached and they told people the same thing, and they still ran him. And that's why he lost statewide office twice. And they finally were able to go up into Macomb County and get him a congressional seat. Maybe he'll work his way up to the Senate at some point. But that's, and then what happened was when something didn't go his way, he alleged racial discrimination then. But he spent his whole, and people laughed at him for that. It's like, come on, man, you sit here and you got to cop to certain things. So I don't think everything is racist. Okay, I don't think any black person who's lived the life of success like he has, his family owns a very large logistic company. He went to West Point. I think he was a helicopter pilot in the Army. He's lived a very successful life. He's from the Black elite. Okay, I can understand how he sees life, but there's still certain things he has to admit to.
It's a few things with that. Now, one, that's hypocritical if you tried to run a raceless, colorless campaign and then you lose, and then now you want to say racism is a thing now. So yeah, that's hypocritical. But when you're saying that there are things he has to cop to, like what exactly? That's the part that I don't necessarily.
So
put it like this. I understand that he has to. I mean, I understand he has to like Barack had to acknowledge that he was black and had to say he basically had to deal with that elephant in the room. But he did run a campaign that did, and he said it a few times that if I win or lose, it won't be because I'm black or not black or whatever the fuck. It'll be basically because I ran a good campaign and the American people thought I was the right guy for the job. But he understand at some point, especially when that Reverend Wright shit came out, he had to address the blackness of it.
But except Obama was like very smart with it, right? Because listen, y'all, we got to give Obama his credit. The man was he was smart with it. He didn't play into the racist thing when he was running, but then once he got into office, he used that to his advantage to the fullest.
I don't know if he. Well, we'll get to that. Hold on, real quick. What did people like John James, who couldn't manage to win in Michigan, even though I voted for him, I wanted to see him win, but he couldn't manage to win in Michigan. What did he need to cop to?
So there's it's not one specific thing, but let's say there's 10 things we identify as black issues, right? Or things specific to the black community. You got to cop to 2 or 3 of them. If you get laid out 10 of them, you got to cop to 2 or 3. It's not, you have to cop not this specific thing or that specific thing, but it's like you got to admit to a certain number to make it seem legit. Because if you don't admit to any of them, then it's just like, okay, it makes people very suspicious. Again, and I called it before he was. I talked to a lot of people called me up, said, is he going to win? I was like, no, he's not. And I explained why he isn't, and they didn't get it because they're not from the black community. Like there's certain things he's going to have to admit to. I guess the case in point, the best example would be someone like a Michael Steele. Michael Steele is a hardcore button-down Republican. He was chairman of the Democrat National Committee. Even that one guy who was from Atlanta, Herman Cain, that was a black man. It was very clear, but he was a black Republican. But when you still talk to him about certain things, you still like, okay, even though he's a Republican, he still understands that he's a black person, and certain things are going to affect him in certain ways, and he can admit to that, and that's okay. But
the thing is, ultimately, and I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna hop off, Bernard, but ultimately, I personally think the black demographic is the most politically dumb, right? Because when you actually look at, I was saying this to somebody yesterday, right? Politicians only respect votes that they have to work hard for, period, right? So when you realize that Democrats, when they realize that they never have to work for the black vote, right? They just assume like it's just a given, y'all gonna give me your vote. And the perfect example of this was Joe Biden told you that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. But at the same time, he went to Little Havana in Miami, right? And practically begged those Cubans to vote for him. And guess what? They still ain't vote for his ass, right? Like most of them voted Republican, but he practically begged them to vote for him. Meanwhile, the black population, which is larger than the Cubans in Miami, obviously, right? He basically just told you, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. He didn't give you a reason, right? He at least tried to give the Cubans a reason, right? But he didn't even give you a reason. So ultimately, when these people realize they never have to work for your vote, this is why I think even just voting for Republican on the basis of like proving to Democrats that they don't just own your vote, to me, I think is worth it, right? Because when they feel like it's just a given, I'm just gonna get your vote because you're supposed to vote for me. Because why would you not vote for me, right? So they don't feel like they gotta give you shit because by default you just give it to them. By default you give it to them. Meanwhile, every other community expects some shit, right? Most people didn't realize the Asians expected some shit until they got a whole bill passed, and God knows, like, I mean, it was such a short period of time, right? They got a whole bill passed, right? So you never request anything, and then you're shocked that you never get any changes, any results. So to me, that's ultimately the issue with black people and black voters in particular, is that they continue doing the same shit. You keep doing the same shit. You keep voting for the same people. They never offer you shit. They insult you, right? They bring fucking celebrities and entertainers and whatnot to their rallies as a way to somehow influence you, right? They do shit like the vucking thing, right? Like they don't respect you. They don't respect you because they never have to work for your shit because they know you're gonna just give it to them. So that to me is the ultimate issue.
Well, yeah, when you vote at a 90% clip, right? I mean, you basically say it's in the bag, right? I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. But all right. Thank you, JB, for coming on up. J Bizzle, as what you're going by today. J Bizzle. I laugh every time I see that. But no, all right, brothers. All right, peace. Thanks for coming on through. The link is in the chat. Anybody else want to come up and get a piece of this thing here? I thought there'd be more people wanting to come up and speak on this after, post election. I was complaining when I got off the air because I had to go vote, and I don't like the stand in line process, and I didn't do the early voting, but that early voting even helps the late voting people like myself, because I walked right in, walked right up, signed a little thing and got handed the shit and walked right up to the thing. Like I felt like I was in and out of there in 5 minutes. I literally feel like I got in and out of there in 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, we don't have any. Yeah, it was so fast to vote at my place. There was no. I mean, but our my city is not very large, so it's pretty easy to vote.
Yeah, I remember last year, and when presidential was, I think more people are going to show up when it's a voting for the president is involved. I remember standing in line in 2020 when but no, it was cool. It was a pleasant, non-painful experience going to vote this time. But Jackie Jack is in the super chat. I think you probably answered this already, but I don't know if you can, well, I mean, she's asking what are some of those black things? Well, let me put it this way. Are you saying they have to admit this, or just bare minimum acknowledge that it's a thing and talk about it? Because there are black people, black politicians who they'll talk about the black issues, but they'll talk about it. I'm talking about black Republicans. They'll talk about the black issues, and they'll talk about it from the standpoint of, countering, refuting, or debunking, doing like a Candace Owens on some of the things that black people talk about. It's like they'll do it that way. Are you saying that they need to, that they got to bare minimum do that? Because I don't know if they need to admit to it. I don't know if that is the case. But if you're saying that small percentage of support that they're going to get from black people as a Republican, you're not going to get that much black support. At the way it's laying out right now, you're not going to get that much black support. So are you saying that in order to just get a little morsel of black support, you have to admit those things, but risk alienating a large block of white support? So that's why I don't understand. I don't know about the copping to it thing.
So here's an example of something that's very cut and dry that everyone can admit to, right? That is non-controversial. Sentencing disparity for crimes. That's a very cut and dry that we know that black men are sentenced for the same crimes as. Now there's factors in there such as access to appropriate legal situations, maybe their current job or education status, and so that increases.
As I always say, Pookie got priors and a public defender. You got a public defender and priors. Your chances are,
No, I'm going to give you a personal story because all right. So perfect example, something that happened. So when I was getting in trouble, when I was a kid, when I was a little younger, I basically was running back and forth to court. So mind you, I had like 3 jobs and I was in school full time. Okay. So, but this was when I was like 19, 20, 21 years old. So I had 3 jobs. I was in school. So I hadn't quite dropped out of college yet because of my legal issues. So finally, when things kind of got really bad, and I kind of got my dad involved, and I went and got an attorney. So I got an attorney from a guy I played football with in high school. He was a former judge. And so he took my case, and we worked out a payment plan, and it was all good. So he was just like, he was joking around with me pre-trial, like pre-court appearance, like, okay, yeah, he made jokes that we were his son's buddies were paying for his tuition at school or whatever. It was a joke or whatever. So we go to court, and he gets my paperwork and everything, and he sees what's all going on, and he's like, "This is absurd. What's going on?" And so then he actually went in on the judge about the whole way she was handling my case there in court, saying that this was out of control. And he really questions why. And this guy was a Republican judge, okay, and he brought it up to the court, to the lady in court that was a judge, that this was out of control, and she questions why she was treating me the way she was. And she said, "What do you mean?" And she was just like, then this kid showed up. He was in college full time. He was working 2 or 3 jobs. He dropped clean for his drug tests on his initial intake. He said, typically after 6 months, you guys would just kind of leave him alone, put him on non-reporting probation, and just kind of go about his day. Instead, what you guys did was all this other stuff. And so she had all these reasons why it happened. And so I didn't really understand what's going on. But afterwards, we went out to lunch. And he alluded to at that point that he was actually very upset, because the reason why was because he'd obviously known me since I was like in 6th or 7th grade. So it wasn't like I was just some random black kid he had met. He was like, this was a kid that I was a kid or a young man who his son knew, who played football with him, and I was getting railroaded. And he basically determined that the reason why the court was doing the things they were doing because I was a black male, because the type of charge I had, everyone in like our friend group all had that sort of charge all the time. It was just like, it was a minor impossession, basically underage drinking. Like in Northern Oakland County, people got that all the time. It was a running gag. No one cared. But he saw with my case, they made it into, he said basically the equivalent punishment that I had would be equivalent to if I had 2 or 3 of them and one of them involved cocaine, but mine just involved just simply underage drinking.
And
so, that was, so he even said that, and he said he told me that was like 2004 or 5. He said, this is an example of how, certain things happen within the system. Now, I didn't have a lawyer, right? Because I was scared. I didn't tell my parents. If I had a lawyer, right, would they have done the same thing? But he said that he knows for sure that other people from where I grew up had went in front of judges without lawyers, and they had gotten basically the standard, 12-month probation, once a month drug tests, and after 6 months, they stop drug testing you, and then you go on about your day.
Okay. I kind of got lost in the story. Okay, just real quickly, what exactly were you going to get sentenced with? It said so it's not going to be, what did you said everybody else, it will be 12 months probation and what?
So typically if you got caught underage drinking back then, what the standard thing was where we lived was you would get 12 months probation. You would be able to get YTA, which is it's like the Youth Training Act. Basically, you would be able to get an expungement if you successfully completed probation. And then what they would do is they would do a drug test on intake of starting your probation. And if you were clean, they would maybe not drug test you or alcohol test you again. Or what they might do is have you do it for 6 months, and after 6 months, they would stop it because they would say, okay, you drug tested clean. For 6 months, you maintain employment, school. At this point, we're not really going to worry about you. In my case, what they did was they decided that they did not give me YTA. Okay. They did not give me YTA, so I could not get an expungement. And then on top of all that, they decided to keep they drug tested me even after I was clean on intake. And then they continued to drug test me even after 6 or 7 months. And then when I missed a test, they extended my probation 6 more months.
Okay.
And I never failed a test. So in like a 20-month time frame, I never failed a test, but they kept on testing me.
All right, I get it. They kept repeating the test to see. We know you're gonna fuck up eventually. So yeah, okay, I got it.
But he know for a fact that after 6 months, the standard was they would stop testing you.
Yeah.
Yet, like I said, this guy was a judge, so he used to do this all. Like, so that's why he had a certain level of like, this is out of control what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can't exactly give a pushback to a personal experience. You say so. I mean, so I get what you're saying. The sentencing thing, and I'll probably do future content on that and do research on that. I've heard good and bad arguments on both sides when it comes to the longer sentencing. I have. So and it's I don't have an exact verdict on that one, but that is one. Put it like this: it's a lot of stuff that that we complain about, a lot of stuff that come from the left that we complain about, that under sharp scrutiny you find out that some of it is smoke and mirrors. But that one I haven't heard anybody really truly adequately just put the nail in the coffin on that one. So there's that on that. But go ahead, you was about to say something.
Yeah, so the longer sentences is multi-factor. So like in my case, right, I did not have an attorney, right? So that would be a factor. They would say, well, you didn't have an attorney, so you didn't have someone to advocate for. You wouldn't have someone to advocate for you to get YTA, right? And then after 6 months, the attorney, sends something into your probation officer or the judge, say, he's dropped clean 6 months. Are we really going to continue drug testing him? And they would be like, okay, yeah, let's stop. So, but because of what happened, what happened was once he did step in, my attorney, once he did actually step in, they had came to the conclusion. They said if I had tested clean for 3 months after that was after I'd already tested for 17 months. They said after 3 months, would you cut them loose? So after I had 20 successfully passed tests, they were like, okay, we're done drug testing them.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's wild. That seems like an obsessive amount of testing and retesting going on there. So yeah, no doubt, no denying that. All right, we're almost at the 2 hour and 30-minute mark. I'm shocked by the lack of crowd participation in this one, but I may not go the full 3 hours. I may wrap this up at the 2 hour and 30-minute mark. Definitely a good show. Thank you to JB for coming up. Thank you to Christian for coming on up, and thank you everybody who supported the stream. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Jackie Jack Gord, KN/Queen, Jonathan Barronville. I say his name like an old sports announcer. Shout out to Christian, Kenneth, Sir Ties, PD, Orange Pill Nerds, Mr. Tobert, Osmosis, Captain Cisco, Orange Pill Nerds again. God damn it, I was about to get out of here. Code Black, I was about to get out of here. Then somebody wanted to come real quick. All right. Mute the YouTube in the background. Go ahead. I'm about to get out of here. Somebody wants to come real quick. All right.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
Doing good. Let's say it's like you got your YouTube muted in the background. All right, so what's up? What you got on this? Any of the topics that we covered here so far today?
Yes, I seen the situation about Stacey Abrams and blaming black men continuously. Misinformation, quote unquote. We don't know what we're talking about, but just me. I ain't voting for no party. I ain't voting for the Republicans. I'm not voting for the Democrats. Reason being, when you sit back,
did you vote at all? Did you vote at all though?
Not at all.
You didn't even show up?
No, because
I disagree with that one, man. I think you should show up and vote for the little local stuff, but don't do the party voting stuff. You know, write in somebody. But I think it's important, especially for brothers, for you to not just get lumped in with just niggas who just don't care. Like,
no, I'm not one of those. I know you're not one of those,
but what I'm saying is they can't tell the difference from somebody who don't show up. Now, if somebody show up and they don't vote for either party, but they show up and cast a ballot or mail a ballot in or vote for like the local things. Like, I mean, it was, abortion related stuff on the ballot in Michigan. So I don't know where you're from. I'm sure it was some local stuff on the ballot that was in there. And then write in Patrice O'Neill or some shit. But anyway, you had a point to make why you don't really mess with either party. And I probably will agree with you to some degree on what you got to say with that. But go ahead.
Okay. I understand what you make your point with the local ballot. But when you see the people that's on the local ballot doing the exact same thing as they do in every other level, then it tells you really have a deeper problem. Because it's not just one party. You got the same corporations that's still feeding the locals as well. And they still tearing up our neighborhoods while they're fixing their neighborhoods. The same thing happens
Can you be specific?
Okay, all right, prime example. I'm gonna be Pacific. I'm gonna be Pacific.
Yeah, when you say, and by the way, good afternoon to you, sir. But when
good afternoon as well.
When you say tearing up the neighborhoods, I mean specifically. I mean, if you don't want to name.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a Pacific. Okay. All right. Well, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, prime example. Okay, where I live at, they have come through. It's a prominently white neighborhood. Okay, they came through. They did the landscaping, the roads, fixed the roads up in this area. Okay, nice. The white people started coming in this area, so they started fixing it. Now that's my tax dollars. But if I go to Jackson Ward, in the black neighborhood, potholes, tore up, devastation, continuously. That's what I mean.
Okay,
that's one example.
As a tax-paying citizen,
absolutely,
are you locally involved in saying, "Hey, here's where my tax-paying dollars are going"? Do you show up at the various meetings or write to your state representative? Again, I'm not trying to.
Yes. We do that. I think everybody does that continuously in every city. However, it still continuously happens.
I don't believe. It's hard for me to resolve that. But okay.
Okay, so let me get back to my point about both parties. Now, the reason I make the statement of both parties is because what has happened. Prime example, you have the Democrats, they run everything. We're gonna get to Obama, like you said with Obama. Obama had a 60 majority when he came into office, 60 majority. The only thing he did was bail out Wall Street, put 5.1 million people out on the streets. When it came to Flint, Michigan, their water is fine. We went from 2 wars to 7. That's under Democrats. Okay, he's the reason we got Trump. And then what did Trump do? Cut taxes, went from 35% to 21%. And then now look where we at now with Biden. Now we have Biden. If you're not black, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Wait, time out. You came in and said you're not voting for either party, but you just made a good case to vote for one.
No, I'm giving you the reason why it's no need to vote for either party, because both parties corrupt, both parties dealing with corporate money, so therefore they both gonna do corporate interests. So there's no need to vote for both parties, because it's not the politician that runs us. It's Pepsi, it's Coca-Cola, it's Amazon, and the lights. So by black people continuously voting for these parties, we ain't doing nothing but destroying ourselves.
Can I follow that up?
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Okay. Here's why I vehemently disagree with you on this.
Okay.
But black people vote at a 90% rate. So it's basically voting against yourselves to one party. Now, when we look at the fact that you, myself, Bernie, everybody in the audience is a tax-paying person. We're all impacted by inflation, which has drastically changed in the last 2 years at a federal level by this current information or by this current administration. We're all impacted by gas prices that have changed. We see how the left has come into these schools and indoctrinated things with this ridiculous curriculum that's talking about all types of craziness. And the only reason that we got a glimpse into that was due to COVID. And we were watching we were watching what our teachers or what our kids were listening to. So there is a drastic difference between the parties. Now, where Bernie is right, I will say this: at the local level, this is where the differences can be made. But for us to suggest that we should just sit on the sidelines while everybody else votes and determine our fates, you're gonna forever get a rejection from me on that one.
Well, no, see, you ain't letting me finish my statement.
My bad.
No, it's perfectly fine. We're perfectly fine. My whole point is, let's stop voting for both parties at the moment and unite our vote as a unit. If we have our vote unite, if black people come together as a unit and unite our vote and say, if you don't give us this, that, and the third, we're not voting for you. Hispanic community does this. The Asian community does this. The Jewish community does it. Every community does it except for us.
Okay, do you know why we don't do this as a collective? It's because we're basically, as a group, indoctrinated into one party. We basically laugh and ridicule anybody that doesn't go to the left, despite the things that we all know what the left does. It's like, oh, you didn't vote for Stacey Abrams? I mean, this is probably the only sector that you're going to hear upstandingly mobile black men actually say, hey, I don't care what y'all think. I think that voting for this is actually within my interest. So I don't ever see us being a united voting bloc. What I do want people to do is look what's in their individual best interest as a collective and then go from there. Now, let me add this. It was one thing, if you have children, we were impacted by the, what do you call it? The milk crisis that was happening.
Okay.
With this,
well, people should be. Excuse me. I just want to say, women should be breastfeeding. If you can't breastfeed, that's one thing. But women should be breastfeeding anyway. You sitting here giving your baby these toxics? That's just crazy.
They should also have a garden and all that too, like we came.
Absolutely,
But they don't. But I just don't want us to be like, nah, we're not going to participate. And people, contrary to popular belief, Asians do vote and do influence these elections. They're just not on the visible side, like it said, okay? They do, they put their money in things. Now, that's one thing, the conversation I would like us to start having. Which one of these candidates, and this is what Dr. Claude Anderson says, and he's more on the left than anything. Which candidates are we going to say, okay, look, here's your money. Here's how you're going to represent us. But I don't know if we're ready as a collective for that conversation.
But see, it must take conversations like this to happen. But go ahead, my brother.
But Nate just said something that I was thinking, but I wasn't, I was thinking this, but so we'll go ahead and examine this. He says that's not true. Other communities don't do that. By do that, that means come together and vote as some collective group, or decide to withhold a vote until some particular group does A, B, or some particular party or whoever does A, B, and C for their group, and then they all jump on as a collective and vote for that. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think
that ain't meaning Latino, like that.
Hispanic and Latino vote is pretty damn split. White people, they shit is pretty split. I don't even know who the hell Jews vote for, to tell you the truth.
The left generally.
They
Now, what I mean is I'm not a leftist. I'm not a rightist. I'm neither or, because I don't believe that one person can be one-sided. And I think that's a big problem, is that we tend to be one-sided when we should work together and get things done with each other.
I don't disagree with you there, but I got to ask you this. Name me one current Democratic policy that actually benefits and represents black men. I mean, I would love to hear one.
None.
Okay.
None. Listen, I'm not. Did you just see? Okay.
Okay, hold on a second.
Let's get back to the Democrats. I'm not gonna see. I'm gonna go ahead and smash the Democrats real quick so we can get that out the way. But hold on. Let me finish.
Before you do.
Go ahead, Sir Tyson.
Okay, before you do, because see, when I hear this whole, I am so goddamn sick of sloganeering, no tangibles, no vote, all that nonsense. Because when you don't vote, you're actually helping these, both these groups out, because it's like, good. It's, half the time, I remember being from Michigan, there was this mayor, there's this former mayor named Coleman Young, and he got into it with one of the Democratic governors, who was one of the current governors, and the Republican governor lost at the time, and they blamed him, the black mayor, because he supposedly didn't galvanize the vote. Now, I thought that was pretty insulting, because we went out to vote, but a lot of people, if Coleman say we don't go out and vote, we don't go out and vote. And that's what I get into the hold that the Democrats, case in point, they tried to make this about, this is an election about democracy. Okay, where were you threatened in your democracy in this election? I don't mean you saying this, brother, but I'm saying this is the sloganeering and things, and they always try to get you with this emotionalism. And that's the stuff that's been holding us back. All right, man, go ahead. I'll give you uninterrupted.
Oh no, he dropped down. He already dropped down.
And you know what? He makes a valid point in a sense, but I don't want us to get to the point of, well, we just ain't gonna participate. Well, shit,
yeah, that was that part, and I was gonna circle it back to that once you say that, it's like it's nothing to even discuss. Like he came out basically saying he don't vote. Like it's like so everything else that you're saying, any politically astute comment you make after that is irrelevant. If once you're saying you don't vote, and I'm not even, and I hate the way the Democrats do, how they, all the rock the vote, vote or die, vote, nigga vote campaigns that they do to basically just make sure black people getting out voting Democrat. Those are annoying. So I don't want to sound like them, but at the same time, it is true that if you're not voting, don't be the loudest one barking in a political discussion. And I talk more about culture in politics, but still,
good
it's
point.
like,
No, very, very good point. It's funny, we had a stand up today, and it's like, because it's a hurricane about to happen. Well, it's north of us, thank God, but and we're, one of the guys said, I don't want to hear if you guys didn't vote. I don't want to hear if you guys didn't vote complaining about things that's happening right now. And I've always had that sentiment, Now, I will say this, just a commentary on the election briefly, Bernie. I knew Stacey Abrams was going to get mopped. It was something you said about the whole, not Herschel Walker. What bothers me, like with Michigan, I can't believe that how the Tudor Dixon and what was the current Governor Whitmer, people forgot how this woman locked y'all down. Y'all couldn't do anything or anything like that. People just suddenly forgot that 2 years later. Whereas you looking down here, look, the reason that DeSantis, who only won against, I won't use the words that Nate uses, but against the one trisexual black governor candidate. And I got a minute in 2 minutes. You don't remember that? What was his
which
name?
state you talking about?
Florida, who DeSantis initially won his first gubernatorial match against, and he only won by 1%. But then yesterday he won.
It was a landslide.
That was a mop.
That was the only place where the red wave really happened.
Right. Oh yeah, right. Wait till you hear this. A Democrat doesn't hold a public office, doesn't hold too many more public offices statewide anymore, with the exception for I think 2 or 3 out of the 25. But the point I was getting at is that the reason that he got that vote was because people saw how he managed the whole COVID thing, going against the little short doctor and all that, all those guys and what they were advising. So, he was
Florida didn't do a so-called shutdown.
We did a shutdown, but after in May, we were open up with limitations.
Yeah.
Hell, this was the place that people were coming to escape those, including the AOCs of the world.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. See, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Michigan
things.
shut down. It was talked real tough, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, and maybe I was, maybe I just wasn't as I didn't. I don't know, but it was part of it was cap. But well, put it like this, and this is a whole nother. Actually, me and Sub-Zero got into this. All the big businesses were still open, so it's like shit was still open, but the small businesses was just shut down.
Okay, I'll use
so that
a perfect
was
example.
it was a weird thing.
I use a perfect example that I got to hop on. So I know a lot of the small businesses, since I've been going back and forth with my mother, illness and such, they have to now close at 10 o'clock and they still haven't really came over that right now to where it's accepted now. It's kind of like how they've been groomed. Listen, great show. Have a good afternoon. I got to jump on this call.
All right, cool. Peace. But all right. We got to get up on out of here. But I'm glad he brought up DeSantis. I forgot to mention that early on, in my monologue that DeSantis, he definitely body slammed and leg dropped their ass over there. So he definitely killed it. I'll be keeping an eye on what's going to happen with Herschel Walker and Warnock. I'll be keeping an eye on that when Stacey Abrams went down here in my home state. Tudor Dixon didn't win. I think a lot of people are not as pro-choice as they claim, and I think the pro-choice, this is my conclusion, I think the whole pro-choice, everything that happened with Roe v. Wade, I think that moved a lot of people that was in the middle that could go either way. I think that probably made them draw a hard line on, nah, I'm not really with these Republicans. And I think that's why the red wave didn't happen. I think it was on one side, it's the crazy Luciferian, shout out to Little Big Nate. on one side is the Luciferian left, the crazy wokeness, purple hair bullshit. On the other side, the people in the middle, they just as offended by the MAGA hats and all the Trumpian stuff over there. That coupled with Roe v. Wade, and then all the stuff on the local ballots on how each state is going to deal with that. I think that swung more people over to, what, I'm going to go with the purple hair Luciferian shit versus the Trumpian, racist sounding shit. I think that's what it was. Not to, they chose Luciferians over racism, but anyway, I think that's what happened. That's why that red wave didn't come like a lot of people thought. But either way, good show. Thank you to everybody who supported the stream. And like I said, subscribe to Little Big Nate. Definitely subscribe to Little Big Nate. On the 21st, if you are in the Michigan area, hopefully RM can get that dropped for me real fast. If you are in the Michigan area, me and a lot of the guys are getting together, meeting up again. We do it once a month, just, Manosphere, Detroit area, Manosphere content creators and subscribers. We get together, hang out, chop it up, have some drinks, network, the whole works. We get together. There it is right there. There it is right there. Yes. Hang out with Bernard Riley and a few fellow Black Manosphere bros at Barcade in Detroit for games, drinks, November 21st, about 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. No cover charge or fees. More info here. Come on through, hang out. Don't got a name. She said Grown Man Monthly Meetup Detroit. Okay, I guess we can call it that. Hosted by Christian Hutchison, the guy who put the Black single mother and her special needs kids out on the streets. He's the one hosting it. It was his idea. I just do a little bit of the promotion. But no, come on out if you're in the Detroit area. Come on out, hang out. We had a good time the last time that we did it. That we did it. A lot of successful brothers, a lot of IT guys in there. A lot of successful brothers. No, not a bunch of broke dusty guys, as they call it. A bunch of successful, hardworking gentlemen in the bunch that came on out. So but all right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.